It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Prior to today's 53-man roster deadline, the Titans have released punter Brett Kern. Spent 13 seasons with the team, was its longest tenured player during the Titans era. He earned 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections from 2017 to 2019. First team AP All-Pro in 2019, second team All-Pro in 2017. Lost the starting job during training camp to rookie Ryan Stonehouse. The roster deadline set for 3 o'clock this afternoon. The team acquired offensive lineman Dennis Daly and a 2024 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 5th-round selection. Daly has 34 games of NFL experience, made 21 starts for the Panthers, has played at left tackle, left guard, and right guard. And Vanderbilt announced that its football stadium will be known as First Bank Stadium in a 10-year naming rights deal that begins this season. The field will still be known as Dudley Field. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday edition. Ramon and Will, powered by all 4 seasons on 104.5 The Zone. It is Tennessee game day Eve. 1 day closer.
Oh, good Lord.
And then it's Tennessee Titans cut day as well. We've got Tennessee Titans 53-man roster predictions. We have got Josh Ward and Ron Slay to talk some Vols and Ball State. We have got Jonathan Schaefer, who will continue to complain about statements I make over the next 4 hours. That is what we do here on Ramon and Will until 10 o'clock. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, and the best producer in the world, who is now closer to an arm's length away, Ramon Foster, to slap me when I make statements like that.
Eve. Good grief.
So you were like 60 miles away. Is it 60 miles? No, not to Dixon. What is it, about 30?
About 40.
About 40 miles away. Have you ran that?
No,
Oh,
not at one time.
Oh, I thought you said you ran that before.
I would do 80 in a week.
80 in a week.
Okay. Most I ever did at a time was 15.
Yeah.
Most I ever liked you was yesterday, Will.
Yeah,
That's
honestly,
because he wasn't around and doing his job.
You got it.
surprises me a little bit.
Surprises you. Oh,
Really should.
Man. Well, what a day, man. Yesterday kind of flew by, didn't it?
It was a good show.
It was a good show.
Yeah, it was great.
Real good show. Shout out to Greystone. They followed me on Twitter, too.
They followed me too.
They did?
Yeah.
Good. I didn't think they knew you.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I told you 60235.
I told you.
60235.
I told you it was going to be ratchet today, didn't it? Not
You
in a
did.
bad way, but just
You can tell Ramon gets a certain look in his eyes. You're like, okay, I better match the energy today.
I got out the car playing.
Not that me having energy has ever been a problem.
No, you come ready to go.
That's right.
But I hopped out the car playing that Migos song off the DJ Khaled album, the Party All the Time, and I knew that, like, I love researching like music and like hearing the samples, right?
Yeah.
And Shafe walked in, he was like, "Oh, that's the Eddie Murphy sample." I was like, "Party all the time."
Yeah, that's right.
And they slowed it down and chopped it up a little bit. It got me going. I played that album this morning at the gym.
Oh,
by the way.
you're an early workout today. No wonder you're out here ready to go.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately have found it out. If I get up early enough and hit this gym, plus I'm starting my crusade, man. I'm announcing it. It's my crusade to walk down this football weights, and it's go time.
Okay.
And it's probably the worst time to do it because it's during football season. But you know what, Will? Headstrong on this one. I
There you
usually go the longest path. I'm hard-headed like that. I am, man.
I don't know how you wake up and work out before this show.
Kids, man.
That's fair.
Life. RJ got a football game tonight if we don't get rained out, first and foremost. If we don't get rained out, and then, of course, I got to do other stuff after the show. I got to go to Cars and get my van done.
There you
They're
go.
moving, Will.
Really?
We may. I'm not even going to say where it's at. We may get this van done before Florida game.
Ooh.
Maybe. We're waiting on the seats, man.
Interesting.
The fan van. What do we want to call it?
Oh, that's a good question.
The fan van.
Jonathan Schaefer, we need to workshop some ideas of what our mobile is going to be called.
I'll show you the inside of it. Shafe saw the last one. You saw the last one too, didn't you?
Yeah, I wrote in it.
Yeah, that's right.
When we
you
went
did.
to SEC Media Days with 3HL last summer.
That's right.
We watched Pulp Fiction on the way back.
Yeah, what else? Did y'all watch Goodfellas or something else too? Or what? It's a movie Babs didn't see.
Pulp Fiction was the
It was
one,
Pulp
because
Fiction?
I hadn't seen it either.
You hadn't seen it either. Okay.
You could build a Mount Rushmore of film based on the movies that I have not seen.
Same.
I haven't seen anything.
Same.
I haven't seen freaking Star Wars.
I'm
Like
in
I
that same.
haven't done anything.
You either?
Yeah, no.
Air 5.
Let's go.
Shay's probably like
what I lack in movies, I make up for in TV shows. But
I'm okay.
You
Because,
okay
I mean, there's a
with
lot
that?
of movies I haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen Hoosiers.
You
A lot of those classic movies I just haven't seen.
I saw that
don't make it
once.
a point to stop and watch a movie. I'm very
I don't
much like,
either.
hey, if I'm going through channels or something and I see something, I'll stop and watch it. But in terms of actually sitting down, making it a point to watch movies, it just doesn't happen very often.
I am on my probably 11th rewatch of The Office right now. Because when I'm between shows, I just go back to The Office.
Though, last Friday, after the show, I went and saw Top Gun Maverick again.
Did you?
I actually haven't. I didn't
I've
see
yet
that.
to see it, man.
You got
I wanted to.
I've
but
yet to
Because
see it.
I went a second time going, all right, if I fall asleep, it's fine because I've seen it once. I'm just going to hang out. I mostly wanted the popcorn. I'm not going to lie.
I love popcorn,
So
man.
I go in there. I got
Popcorn
the
is
popcorn.
my favorite
I'm
food.
laid back. I'm like, I don't even care if I sleep through this because I've seen it once. Stayed awake the whole time.
Did you?
Jennifer Connelly will do that to a man. Secondarily to that,
Bonk.
it's still shut up. It's still really good.
It's still really good.
It's really good. I still couldn't
Holds up.
find places
It's still
where I
in
could hate
theaters.
it. Yeah, it's almost done.
You know,
gonna
they
say, if
showed,
not,
was it
man.
Pretty Woman that was in theaters this past weekend? Or it was a play?
no,
It
the
was a
play I think was at T-Pack.
The play was at T-Pack. Shout
think
out.
so.
That's where I got married at.
You got married at T-Pack?
I got married at
Really?
T-Pack. Yep, sure did.
Wow.
Man, you want to talk about a great time.
All right.
Like, it was at the time where I'll say
Hard
this.
flex.
We had, no. This
Let
ain't
me just
that.
say, was Ron Slay part of the
You
marital?
damn
Okay,
right
well,
it
of
was.
course
I
it was a
gotta
good
shout
time.
out. But you know what's
absolutely.
crazy?
No, we're in your 20s.
Social
Of
event
course
of the
it was a
year.
good time.
But I had almost anybody of everybody that was there, man. I had a monk there. I had a bishop there, man.
Oh, wow.
Some of my former teammates, like it was open bar. A phone went off.
I love how you opened with I had a monk and a bishop there.
Just
You know that's the start to a bad joke, right?
no, this one
Ron
was
Slay, a
good
monk,
time.
and a bishop walk into a bar.
and football players. That'll do it with an open bar. Will that'll do
Ron
it.
says to the bartender,
It's pretty much. But we had so much, we ended up taking some back to the liquor store. But it was a good old time. We had a phone go off during like the reception.
Oh
dude.
no.
Will, you want to talk about piercing? Like, I was so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, like who leaves on ringers these days? Like, legitimately, who leaves on a ringer, dog? Like the early 2000s? Okay, I
The
get it.
line now is always we would like to have an unplugged ceremony. Like that, just say you
Is
don't
that
want
what they say?
Just say you don't want me to have my phone on.
God, who
Honestly,
does
just be
that?
honest. Just shoot straight with me.
Oh wow, Frosty's asking a question. You've never seen and
I have
Todd
now.
Apple.
I have now.
Oh man,
We watched it in the van.
Yeah, House of Dragon. I
Haven't seen it yet. I'm doing that's
Sally,
probably
don't you
tomorrow.
dare tell about it.
I got to prep for Nashville SC broadcast tomorrow.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the prep like on
Flex.
that? I know. You talk about
I'm
me
just, I'm
flexing.
telling you why I can't watch anything.
You gonna do this
until Thursday.
and that? Huh? Is that what we're
It
doing?
is what we're doing.
Golly.
No, all that's going on, and then trying to catch up on some shows.
You going to the game?
I did
too,
catch
Shay?
up on. I caught up on Bachelorette last night.
I'm
which
going
was live
Saturday. I'm
last
not
night.
going tomorrow night.
Okay.
If it's during the week and it starts at like 7 or 7:30,
It's a
by the
wrap.
time the game's over, it's 9:30. It's a wrap. I don't do it.
Yeah,
So
I
basically, I apologize. I didn't mean to
You're
jump in front
good.
of you there. Basically, what I do is my midweek games,
Yeah.
I just resell those tickets. They help fund my season tickets for the next year.
Hey, you a hustler, baby. I'm a hustler. I'm a
It's
hustler.
true. No, I for the first time a couple weeks ago decided not to go because we were going to be in here the next morning. It was a 7:30 Sunday night game. They won 4-0.
Really?
They hadn't won in months at home, and then they won 4-0 that night. So
Now you learning the lifestyle.
I know.
By the way, Lumen in the chat said Fast Times at Richmond, Ohio is a really cool move. I said, yep, except for the high school teacher situation. Other than that situation, we're good, baby.
We've covered a lot the first 9 minutes this morning. That's how you know it's going to be a good one.
I didn't
That's how
even
you
want to
know.
go down that route, but I've watched that movie numerous times, though, and I still get trippy whenever what was accepted in, what was that, an 80s movie, Shave?
Oh, it was early 80s.
It was early 80s? Golly.
Couldn't tell you.
Ferris Bueller. You've seen that one too?
I have seen Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller. Yeah. By the way, T and Berg also said Bachelorette is secretly fire.
It's a good show.
You and Mike Golick Jr.
It's a good show.
Really?
Get out of here with the toxic masculinity crap. It's a good show. It's really entertaining.
Got nothing to do with toxic masculinity. It's just trash.
It's hilarious. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm blaming the society. I don't even consider myself to be a part of society. In the words of one Michael Gary Scott. That's an office quote. Yeah.
I never knew that was.
See, you'll learn about me too that I just say office quotes without saying like as they said. I'm just gonna say
that's fine. We barely consider you as part of the show. So.
Do you want me to do the rest of the show? Do you want to take over?
He got quiet.
Is that really the way you wanted to go?
Hey, I ain't scared.
Is that how you?
Will was almost like, I don't have to take this.
Look at me.
I'll show up when it's not game day EV.
Look at me.
I'm the captain now.
Okay.
And as we laugh.
Anyway, on today's show, Josh Ward coming up at 8:20. Ronald Sylvester Slade checks in at 9:20.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to add to the absolute.
You know what I'm requesting from him, and I know he's still asleep right now. Although baby ball got to get up. No, not the tacos, not that one. That's on the way though. That'll be on the way. But our guy, our friend, our VFL, your partner, Shafe, has been super high on this Vandy train, and he was right. He was right.
For a week.
He was right.
See, when I think of Ron Slay.
Against a team that's in full rebuild that doesn't have a home stadium right now.
When I think of Ron Slay, I don't think of Vandy guy.
I know. But then yesterday.
But he's
I don't really
a
want to.
Nashville guy.
He's a
though.
Nashville guy.
But I am too.
difference.
But I don't. I'm not gonna.
But you're to the core. You're like, you told me your situation. Your pops and told you, look, either you get it or you go to UT.
Yeah, right.
So what I'm saying is this though. Ron has been on this Vandy train, and he's received calls about it. He's been on top of it.
Mike Wright had that dog.
Yeah, my dog had that dog. You X-ray his chest, and it's a pit bull over there.
Dog in it.
Okay, shout out to Mike Wright. Okay, with that being said, though, it's officially Vol Week, Savage. It's officially okay. If I'm telling, if he don't
time to punch back in.
if he don't come in here right, if he comes in here at all, okay, y'all tell him, y'all tweet him. Y'all hit him in the chat. He walk in here and he say savagery. You say, where your ticket at?
That's right.
Because you need to be driving this Vol train. That's all I'm saying, Will, before we go any further. We've allowed him to take over the Vandy train. Now it's the real train time.
Time to check back in.
It's time to check back in.
That's right.
The old foolish kid games you had last week, they're over now.
Okay.
That's where I'm at, Will.
Challenge
Ball
accepted.
week. I don't care if it is Ball State.
615-737-1045 is the number this morning. Titans trading for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
We've got an 11-year NFL veteran here to break down what that means for this team. And we told you yesterday that they were going to get to 51 or 50 and maybe see who else was out there.
Kind of said that.
They instead decided to cut the line and say, we don't want this guy who we might pick up to go somewhere else. Let's go ahead and throw another 2024 pick like it's candy on Halloween to try to get one of these guys in here. Because John Robinson is legitimately just throwing away 2024 picks. Not throwing them away. I don't even mean it as a bad thing. Just like it's like an oddly specific. Right. Like it's like, well, all these are 2024.
And this wasn't a throwaway pick. My bad. Not a 6th round. This is a 5th round pick.
That's right.
That's significant, Will.
So we'll talk about that. We will get into the Tennessee conversation at 8:20. But before we do that today, our official 53-man roster for this Tennessee Titans team. We may have some leaks. We may start getting some reports of who is or isn't making the team. Maybe it'll be like yesterday where Brett Kern will get cut the literal second that my microphone hits the table after the show is over. First time having that happen. That was not great.
Welcome to Morning Show.
Welcome to Morning
That's
Show.
factual.
Yo.
That is factual. And Josh Ward at 820, Sports Radio, WNL, Josh and Swain, and Ron Slay. We're going to question whether or not, he's VFL of Vandy for life or Vol for life.
Either way. You remember last year, speaking of like news dropping, like the NFL actively tried to like release stuff like mid-morning for like morning crews?
Oh, yeah.
You remember they actually tried to cater to
Did they
us.
really?
Yeah, they did. They did, man.
As a former offensive lineman, I'm sure you would like for them to cater more things to you.
Well, hear me out.
This is an 11-year
Don't
fight
get me
that
started, okay?
I'm
I go
actively
from
trying to get you started.
Dogged as a player.
The more I get you started, the less Jonathan Schaefer tries to kneecap me over this 4 hours.
Hey, the life of an offensive lineman. Hey,
Me
go to the morning
kneecapping
show.
you is just how I say I love you, Will.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
That's
You
what they all
tough.
say. That's what they all say. Coming up next, Rashad Weaver chats with us, talking about his bet with Ramon Foster. for Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Speaking of trying to get people on the Tennessee train, coming up next, it's Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons, 104.5 The Zone.
I'm a VAA. I'm one of those that thinks the Vols are all right.
Who doesn't want to get a little bit ahead, have that little bit of an advantage on whatever it may be in your life? Hey, it's Jonathan Schaefer for my friends at Lee Company. Put Lee Company on your team. Stay ahead of the game when it comes to home maintenance, repairs, and more. For $99 a year or $825 a month, you can sign up for the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan and receive 4 visits to your home every year by an experienced technician. During the summertime, take a look at your cooling, air conditioning inspection and do a tune-up. Wintertime, heating system inspection and tune-up. Detailed plumbing inspection, electrical safety and energy inspection. All of that at $99 a year, just $825 a month. They'll help keep your home maintenance in tip-top shape. Get the best players on your team today. Lee Company. Learn more, leecompany.com, or call them at 615-567-1000. leecompany.com or 615-567-1000. Lee Company, all you need.
Tuesday edition of Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons. 104.5 The Zone until 10 o'clock here this morning. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. Talking with Tennessee Titans edge rusher Rashad Weaver coming up here in a couple of minutes. You could join us before that at 615-737-1045, where the Titans bring in Panthers offensive lineman Dennis Daly. Receiving him and a 7th-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft from the Panthers in exchange for a 5th-round pick in 2024. Daly, a 6th-round selection for Carolina in 2019, has played in 34 career NFL games, 21 starts, and over the past 3 seasons has played a number of positions, Ramon Foster. 13 at left tackle, 7 at left guard, 1 at right guard, 15 games a season ago, including 9 starts, 5 games at left guard, 4 games at left tackle. So versatility.
Yep.
And there's your swing tackle.
Yep. And this also tells me what I thought was true. Remember, we asked the question, was it Glennon yesterday? How comfortable do you feel about the tackle position, the swing tackle? And you even brought this up, Will. You was just like, as far as Dylan Radins go. Like, you got to start keeping him at a position. Was that when I was surprised about your take that you had? It wasn't that one, was it? No.
No, it was the special teams and having to be more athletic on special teams because they're going to be out kicking your coverage.
Yes, but seriously, though, when you said that, I was of the mindset, like, okay, like, this to me says a lot about, what Radins is going to be eventually. You have a built-in center ready to go next year if you decide to move Aaron Brewer, man. Again, the more you can do in this league, Will, the longer you stay around, okay? And Aaron Brewer he's ahead of the curve right now with that one. If they want to, you move him in. This is the other side of that too, Will. You have the opportunity where Nate has to get paid next year, depending on what you do with Taylor. Taylor's in that position too. Like, I really don't know a world where he's gone because I don't know who your other, like, right tackle is going to be if they move in MPF over.
It's important to have competition at both of those spots. And Jamarco Jones, who will, I think, make this team now.
Yeah, I would for depth and veteran status.
I don't think that's guaranteed now, though.
No, and then you got to also look at, where Dennis Daly is coming from. Also, man, he's coming from Carolina. Where are the similarities there? Carolina's a run-first type of team.
Right.
So he know what he's getting himself into. He understands run angles in the den. And again, you said he was a 6th-round pick initially.
Yep.
And they ended up giving a 5th for him.
Yeah.
This kid has created value for himself too. You can't necessarily, like most guys who are 6th round, we'll give you a late 7 conditionally or something like that. Even 1st-rounders go for later draft picks than that. This kid actually, he redrafted himself, Will.
Right.
So.
And he would have been cut.
Yeah.
His spot was taken by Cade Mays.
Yeah.
In the interior of that Carolina offensive line. Former South Carolina offensive lineman who started his career at Georgia Military College. Started 23 of the last 24 games at left tackle in 2018 and second half of 2017 after starting that season at guard. So primarily a guy that has been at the tackle position, but a guy who can fill in for you in a pinch at guard as well. So I think the guy who is most affected by this might be Jamarco Jones.
Yeah.
Because the Titans essentially brought in the exact same player in him earlier this offseason. And now they decide, hey, let's cut to the front of the line of getting Dennis Daly because he's going to be cut tomorrow. Yeah. But let's give up a little bit of draft capital. You get a 7th back in 2024, a very low price. And you also get your 7th back that you traded for Tyree Gillespie because that was a conditional pick that you traded to the Las Vegas Raiders for him. He was officially cut yesterday by John Robinson. So the draft pick shuffling and dominoes continue to fall. But when it's 2024 and 2 years away, it's a very low price.
I feel better about getting Dennis Daly than I do having Jamarco Jones at your swing tackle positions, just simply because he hadn't got many reps out there to begin with. Radins, we saw what he looked like outside on the edge. Of course, I love Christian DeLauro, former teammate of mine. Think he's a good guy, but there might be more development or more value at keeping him just around on practice squad if he doesn't make this 53. The interior, to me, is pretty much set. It was the tackle position that I felt a little bit uneasy about, and I expressed that. We talked about that just a little bit. Getting this young guy, man, you could probably re-sign him for cheap after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's essentially what we're dealing with too is 19, 20, 21, 22. That's 4 years. That's a 4-year deal. This is the last year, I think, on this deal if they wanted to re-sign him in the offseason, which he'll get an opportunity to kind of prove his worth a little bit too. So most deals are 4 years unless you have the 5th-year option as a first-rounder.
That's right. 615-737-1045 is the number this morning. I think this is interesting for a couple of those interior guys because if now Dylan Radins becomes primarily a guard, one of the guys who likely felt comfortable about where they are is sweating a little bit more today because on that offensive line, to kind of preview our 53-man rosters coming up in hour 2, obviously locked in Lawan, Brewer, Jones, Davis, Petit Frere, and Radins.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you have basically Jordan Roos, Jamarco Jones, Corey Levin, and Dennis Daly. And you would imagine that one of those guys is going to be on the outside looking in now.
What's that number you have? Is that 9?
9 offensive linemen.
Active. And I say they get 1 or 2 more practice squad just simply because
100%.
You got to have a 2 line to practice against the scout team with.
Because I don't consider Radins as a tackle at all at this point. I mean, as bad as the pass protection was in preseason, and as big of a need as they have to provide a little bit of competition at left guard, I think this is confirmation that Dylan Radins is a guard in the NFL.
100% will. I called it. I love that they actually tried to get back to him.
You called it the second he was drafted, too. You were on this. I'll flex for you because you're not going to, but you were the one that was on this take before anybody else.
But he even looked more comfortable in the game there. He had a couple he got to control his body.
Yeah,
that's his biggest
pass
thing.
protection still got to get better.
He got it, and that's where the control is.
Yeah, right.
He's losing control in the passing game. Like, dude, you're like a baby deer still. It's like my 14-year-old at times.
That's
like
what Jonathan Schaefer says about me.
Let your body grow into it. Look at him. He's looking like
his head, like
look at Bambi
100%.
over there. But yeah, Will, I like
Bless
this
your heart.
signing. So
Thank
I
you.
like this signing so far. Though. As far as I feel better about it now.
Well, on the defensive side of the football, you feel good about where you are because of the way Rashad Weaver has played in preseason. Ramon Foster's defensive preseason MVP, the award that is sweeping the nation in 2022 for the Tennessee Titans, caught up with us, and we had a good discussion with him about what's coming up for him this season, the conditioning and the steps that he's taken in the 2022 preseason, but a little bit of a bet as well. That we have coming up for this season. Check out the full podcast for that full conversation on the 104.5 The Zone Podcast Network. But Rashad Weaver previews his season with us, a season where he's got pretty high expectations.
Will and I had a segment that we say, MVPs of the preseason, man, and I had you as my defensive guy. We chatted just a little bit at camp here and there, man, and you had goals. Not to be that, but just in general, man, to prove that you belong in this league, man. How did you go about this preseason going into year 2?
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that for real. Acknowledgement doesn't pay the bills, but I respect them, you feel me? So that's love. And then it just was what we talked about. I had little things I was focused on more about my own game, just trying to get back to what I felt like was myself before I got hurt, and then building off of that. You kind of have to put it into different categories. You can't just want to go in there and build to get to a certain level after being hurt without getting back used to playing football first. So I just really was focused on getting back to how I wanted to be before I tried to implement other things from film and stuff into my game from other players. And then once I got to where I felt like I wanted to be at myself, start really honing in on film from myself and other people that I could try to take into the game and things I just didn't like. So it all worked out smoothly. Those first 2 weeks were frustrating. As a competitor out there in camp, you want stuff to look how you want it to look. But when it doesn't, I just look forward to the next day to get out there and work on it. That's the best part about camp. You got another day coming up the next day to work on it.
Right.
Titans pass rusher Rashad Weaver with us here on Ramon and Will. Who are some of those guys that you watched closely over the last offseason, Rashad?
I mean, in the offseason, I ain't going to lie to you, while I was hurt, I didn't watch no one specifically. I just tried to take in as much ball as I could, whether it was just watching college football or watching NFL football, just watching as much football as I can, and that just nothing beats that. That just gets you reps over and over. And then once you've made it to this level, no matter how hard you try, you can't really just sit back and enjoy a game. You're going to be watching your position or certain positions and learning from it. So,
yeah. As far as your gameplay, man, the announcers always give you acknowledgement, as you said, man. But have you always just been that guy that found a knack for getting to the ball? Because that's one thing I even see. Even on, I think it was in the third quarter, you just deflected the quarterback's arm on a pass. Like, some guys have that. Have you ever been told, like, look, man, like, you got a knack for the ball, or what's your process of getting to that point?
Yeah, I have. A lot of people say that. It's something, I'm glad people recognize it. It's something I always want to work on because, that's the most important part of the game is that football. If you can get to it, you put your team in the best position to succeed, and you put yourself in the best position to succeed. Because as a defender, there's nothing like getting that ball out or causing plays to happen, even if you weren't directly to get the ball out, the one directly to get the ball out. And it's just a motivator. As a D lineman, outside linebacker, we don't get a touch the running back. The quarterbacks, or go after the ball or reach and swat and stuff during practice. So you got to get it all out game day.
As somebody also that's his second year, this is your second NFL camp, man. One guy in particular we've all been keeping our eye on, man, is Nicholas Petit-Frere. And I'm sure you've had some one-on-ones with him. I'm sure you've had some run blocking drills against him, man. Can you speak on just his emergence and how you help him get better? And on the other side of that, him to you.
Yeah, coming as a rookie, he was, the first week, like any rookie would be, learning, trying to get up to speed, a lot on your plate, and then it was just every day getting better and better. Took the coaching, and I think people could probably see that in the preseason games that he was getting better and better, and his work came in and just done what's asked of him. And yeah, there's been days where he's got me, and there's been days where I got him, and that's how it's always going to go. And he's no slouch of a player as a rookie. He's out there working.
Absolutely right. Rashad Weaver with us here on Ramon and Will. So, Rashad, I know you missed the 2019 season because of injury. You came back and you had a monster 2020, 7.5 sacks your last year at Pittsburgh. How did that year off in 19 kind of give you a different perspective for the first time, watching film from a different perspective and not being on the field every day? And how did that kind of prepare you for what you went through last season, kind of having to do that same thing and be a student of the game again?
Hey, we got to put an asterisk in there first. That 7.5 sacks, that was on that was in 8 or 9 games.
That's 9 games. No, you're right.
Yeah, that wasn't a full season, man. I would have gave y'all more, man. We got to make sure they know that.
You're right. I mentioned that. I mentioned that in the segment before we had you on. So you're right. I'll give you that for sure.
Nah, that was good. That's when I really learned patience. It was a little different process then. I was on the sideline, Coach Dews and those guys, being the leader on that team, they took care of me. I was on the sideline with a headset, really coaching and learning, which is a whole different perspective of it too. So that upped my game a lot. But I mostly learned patience. I'd say that translated from this past time, being injured. It's just doing what you can do, not worried about what's happened or what you can't do, and just being patient until it's time for you to get back out there. Because, even if it's a year away, it's still it's a set date. It's a year away. It's going to come back. So just working for that and just having an end goal so you don't get lost in that long time of being injured.
How important was it for you, Rashad, to play the whole game on Saturday night and continue that next step of your conditioning?
Yeah, very important. I got told that, and it was, okay, let's do this. It wasn't a problem. That's what I do. I play football, and I haven't played a whole football game since last preseason, so I wanted to see how I'd feel out there during it and how I'd feel afterwards. I ain't gonna lie, that's probably why I sounded like that when I woke up on the phone this morning. I was a little sore still, but I'll be all right.
Yeah, it's all part of the process, man. My guy said put an asterisk next to that 7.5.
I love it. I love it.
Talk your stuff, man. That's what we're here for this morning.
Yeah, if that was a full season, I would have been in there. You see, they might have been 7.5, man. It's 12 games. That ain't nothing, man. Don't look at me like that.
Don't put 12 games behind that. No, that's 7. With that being said, though, as like that confidence is huge, man. And I'll never forget being a part of that young guy group that kind of, when the older guys start looking at, hey, the young fella coming come kick it with us. Like you probably are starting to get some of that, man. And I say that to get to this point. Whenever you get into that rotation of active game day, and you have been before, but with Bud, with Harold, with Danico, with Jeff, and let's say if Harold or Bud needs a player or two off, like the expectation of yourself of being in that old school, in that big dog group, man, what's your mindset for that?
No fall off.
No fall off.
I'm doing at least what they're doing, or trying to do more. You feel me? And when I say more, not in a bad way. You know, you don't want to do too much to where you get hurt. But I mean, just like I said, no fall off. Still making plays and doing my job. And it's not we gotta get the starters off the field for this series and worry about what's gonna happen while these twos are out here, or the rotational guy, whoever it is. Instead, you're worrying about, okay, we getting our starters a breath, and we got somebody coming in that can make some shake just as much as them starters, and it's just going to be able to work off of each other whenever they need that.
Rashad, one last thing for you before we let you go. How confident is that front seven right now? The way you guys played last year, of course, but continuing that in the preseason. You, David, and Nenny, you know, the disruption that you guys have had on that front seven through preseason has really continued the brand of what this defense was a year ago. I imagine you got to have a lot of confidence playing next to Big 98, Big Jeff right there next to you too.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to have it when you have him next to you. You look over there and you see what he does on the inside of that D-line. You know, it's as a grown man doing that to other grown men. And so I ain't gonna lie, he might have that little 2K badge that boosts your teammates' confidence. You know, you got him on your side.
I love it.
You got him on your side, but it's good. All those guys up and down that line make plays. Are top players on our team and in this league, and when you're around better players, you play better. You know, as a younger player, sometimes stuff start happening fast. Might get a little flustered or miss a call just as a young player, and you know they'll fix that or handle that or help you as best they can. You know, it ain't their job to fix it, but when they're a vet in there and they've done this over and over, they can kind of calm you down and keep everything simple out there and just make plays, so that confidence just grows as a whole. You know, instead of just one person having it, it takes over the whole defensive line, outside linebackers, into the whole defense, and it works its way up to the team, and that's the end goal, I think, really, you know.
So there is Tennessee Titans edge rusher Rashad Weaver with us. Again, if you missed any of that conversation, check it out wherever you download podcasts at Ramon and Will. Coming up, we say goodbye to a Tennessee Titans legend, a man who has worn the two-tone blue more than anybody else in the history of the Oilers-Titans franchise since they moved to Nashville. The news that broke the second our show ended yesterday, we bid our farewell to Brett Kern. Coming up next, Ramona Will, powered by all four seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
It doesn't matter what it is in life. Any
It's Ramona Will, powered by all four seasons on 104.5 The Zone. This song just reminds me of that really bad Apple iPhone commercial a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Kind of ruins it for me.
Does it really? I actually like that commercial.
A little bit.
It's all good. We can agree to disagree.
Will Bowling, Ramon Foster with you. Brett Kern is a Titans legend, and there aren't many fan bases that get as loud as the Tennessee Titans do when a punter puts a little coffin corner inside the 10-yard line. But Titans fans loved Brett Kern.
Mm-hmm.
Titans fans will always love Brett Kern. And officially now, yesterday, the organization's all-time leading punter with 923 career punts is a free agent. Thank you for the memories, Brett Kern. Not a thing that most fan bases are saying to punters, but here it is appropriate.
When you understand, it's just like people who start to understand the interior lines, like offense and defense. You see it a little bit different. When a guy's been around for that long, one, it shows how consistent he is. It shows how trusted he is also, and it shows just a level of professionalism at that position where I've seen in my tenure when I played, Will, that position was just like, all right, next one.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Who's on the street that we can bring in on a 2-year deal?
Yeah, legitimately. And when you find a guy, not just that, a guy that loves being here for that long. We came in the same year and realized that 2009 too. And for him to go that long at that position with the respect that he has also. You know, I've heard Mayor and Ron talk about him here and there, and people that's always been around him, like stand-up guy, man. Of course. I didn't know him as personal. We crossed paths, of course, on the practice field and just in games and stuff like that. Super dope individual. Get that man his flowers, y'all, for sure. It's necessary.
Let's also add to this, and Will can attest to this, because he saw these games too. When this team was terrible, when they were at their worst before J-Rob and Vrabel came in, I mean, Kern was kind of the MVP.
He's the best player on the team.
He really,
Him and Craig Hendrick both on a lot of years of run, incomplete pass, punt. Provided a good punt at the end of that exchange.
There were a few times there that Brett Kern kept the team competitive in some games.
Because of yards?
Because of the yards and getting it inside the 10-yard line.
I mean, you're talking about offenses that had Bishop Sankey, Antonio Andrews from Western Kentucky, who was your starting running back. This was pre-DeMarco Murray, which was also John Robinson coming in, bringing in DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
And legitimately, that was the MVP of your team. Similar in the way that we laughed as Tennessee fans when Trevor Daniel was the best player on the team.
Yeah.
And you had that whole kind of group of punters that Tennessee had of hey, at least we can flip the field. We might go 3 and out, but at least we can flip the field. That's how it was for a long time. And it's one of those things that I think is a bit more jarring for Titans fans, simply because in the franchise's history in Nashville, you've had 2 full-time punters.
Yeah.
We have been completely spoiled at the running back position and at punter, which is a wild thing to say when you talk about how good the running back position, too, has been in Nashville and in Houston. But Craig Hendrick and Brett Kern is about as good as you can ask for over the past 25 years at that position, and that's what Tennessee Titans fans have known.
Yeah, for sure. I see somebody said pour out a 40-ounce for Kern. Seriously, enjoy what he was here. And, of course, this is the other part, too. Kern, I saw somebody say Kern is paid to rescue the offense. That's the role of a punter.
Quite literally.
That operation means a lot. And not just there also, Will, but holding the snap. Think about the amount of kickers that's been through here. And who's the steady Eddie in all of those, man? It was Kern placing that ball down. And that operation is important. The placement of the ball is important. And, again, when you have guys that's been pillars on your team for that long, it means a lot. That locker room will be a little bit different. And this is the other part behind it, too, and I'm sure you can speak on this. If Ryan Stonehouse has a day, what are we going to be saying?
Titans fans are going to be, irrationally angry the second that Ryan Stonehouse shanks a punt.
I don't think it's going to be that vitriol.
Those people will exist.
Those people exist.
Oh, but those people just exist.
If you look hard enough, you can find those people in about every circumstance.
Yeah. We call it Vol Twitter.
Respect us, please. Thanks.
Not this week,
Respect us.
Not this.
Not on
here.
game day eve.
Come on, man.
Today is a sacred day. Sacred.
I don't know. I saw this question yesterday going on Twitter. I don't know how significant it could be or if you want to ever go that route. But a player that long, been in his organization, I saw somebody having a Twitter poll, does he deserve to be in the Ring of Honor?
Yes.
Wow. Quick yes.
Absolutely.
Quick yes.
He's had more appearances in a Titans jersey than anyone else in the franchise.
You know, you wouldn't think about it for a punter, but Ramon, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Absolutely. And I'm anti Ring of Honor and jersey retirement more than most people. Like the Mike Conley and Zach Randolph thing in Memphis is the dumbest thing ever that they got their jerseys retired.
I saw that.
But when you're all pro for that many years in a row.
Yeah, man.
And when you lead an organization into a different era from one era to another, and you have more appearances than anybody else in the entire organization, I think so. 197 career games with the Titans, most of any player in the franchise's Titans era since 1999. Fourth in franchise history, Bruce Matthews, Elvin Bethea, Brad Hopkins, the guys that are right around his number of total appearances. So if there was ever a time where a punter would be honored like that, this is the one.
Yeah.
As good as he was.
By the way, I was I'll give credit what credit's due. It was Titans Tonk. He sent all of us that yesterday, and the poll won 94-6%.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's significant, man, when your people speak highly of you like that.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Lots to discuss on today's show, including our official 53-man roster coming up in hour number 2. Jason will lead us off when we come back. 1 hour down, 3 more to go. It is Ramona Will, powered by all 4 seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
When it comes to large home repairs, William, a lot of the times we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. Like, we're afraid of what we're going to hear. It's just life at times, okay? This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It can be something big that needs to be fixed, or it can be something small now that'll become a bigger problem, or it can be nothing at all. In these moments, you want a peace of mind. That's when you call United Structural Systems. With USS, you get problem solvers, experts to educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. USS will provide an honest diagnosis and stand by their work and warranties. USS is based right here in Middle Tennessee and is a member of our community. So when it comes to something as important as your home, USS is the company who cares and the company you can trust. USS serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. Find them online at USSTN.com or call 615-227-2275. We guarantee our best. Call USS.
7:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Prior to today's 53-man roster deadline, which is set for 3 o'clock this afternoon, the Titans have released punter Brett Kern. He spent 13 seasons with the team. Its longest tenured player during the Titans era. Earned 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections from 2017 to 2019. First team AP All-Pro in 2019. Second team All-Pro in 2017. Lost a starting job during training camp to rookie Ryan Stonehouse. The team acquired offensive lineman Dennis Daly and a 2024 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 5th-round selection. Daly, 34 games of NFL experience, made 21 starts for the Panthers, played at left tackle, left guard, and right guard. And Vanderbilt announced that its football stadium will be known as First Bank Stadium in a 10-year naming rights deal that begins this season. The field will still be known as Dudley Field. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cut day for the Tennessee Titans, and coming up in 20 minutes, we give you our unofficial, official Titans 53-man roster. Ramon and Will, powered by all 4 seasons on 104.5 The Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us. 11-year NFL veteran and Vol for Life, Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. You can join us at 615-737-1045, where a Titans legend is cut adrift, and Ryan Stonehouse is the heir apparent to a position that has had a lot of success over the last 25 years.
Wow.
Of the Tennessee Titans.
Level of consistency, man. That's what coaches look for when it comes down to players play. On game day, who are you? What are you going to do? Or is it a bad day? Is it a good day? No, it's just your day, and you continue to do it. And that's what Brett Kern did for the tune of, 15?
Since 2009.
Since 2009, man. What a
lot of football.
That's a lot of football, a lot of time. Can you imagine how many times he saw that locker room change over? How many coaching changes is that, 2 or 3?
Oh, 2009 would have been.
Well, he played with. Did he play for every coach?
Munchak.
I think it might have been at the end of the Fisher era too.
Yeah,
Let me
end of
double check.
Fisher. I want to say, I think that's right. Actually,
Yeah. He got every coach.
Yep. He was the longest tenured Titan, and now pre-John Robinson. You know how many players are on this roster? 1.
Taylor.
That predates John Robinson, and it is the left tackle.
Taylor
Lewan.
I remember being that guy.
Yeah.
Technically I was and was not, because my last year Ben was on IR. And he was out of the building for the most part because he didn't want to be a distraction, right? And I remember thinking to myself, like, dang, I'm officially the oldest dude in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Also said to myself, dang. In the building?
Yeah, sorry.
In the building. Also, I said, well, dang. That probably means I'm on my way out at some point sooner than later, man.
And you stayed right there.
I stayed, and it was just interesting to be in that position. And of course, Brett Kern also, an undrafted guy, making hay in this league just through proving himself, man. So again, clap it up for him as much as you possibly can.
So according to the statement from the Titans, Kern and Derek Morgan, the only 2 players to have played for every coach in the Titans era.
There you go.
So that would go Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Got Wisenhunt in there.
Yep.
Munchak, Malarkey, Vrabel.
Wow. Titans organization loves a head coach named Mike.
Apparently so.
They really do. They really do.
Never thought about
Mike
that.
Munchak, Mike Malarkey, and Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. Look at you, Will. Hey.
That's right.
But that's some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, the Ring of Honor for Brett Kern.
I'm down for it.
With what we're talking about right now, you guys have enlightened me even more. 2 years, maybe, at some point.
Probably a little bit more than that.
A little bit longer than that?
Maybe a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 5 years, maybe.
About 5?
Let it simmer a little
Well,
bit.
but here's
Also
the
depends
thing.
on when he retires.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I'm anti-retiring a jersey like the year after a guy retires, unless you are Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and a tier 1 first ballot Hall of Famer kind of talent.
Even those guys.
But
Were.
that's
Even
the
those
question
guys, you
now.
wait a couple years.
With Brett, does he decide to keep playing or does he decide to retire?
Well, Denver had a punter that was refused to take a pay cut.
That's where he
And-
started his career.
Yeah.
Was in Denver.
And right now, they're talking about releasing him. So that market has gotten a little bit more sticky. It's Brett Kern and probably him. Both of those guys are top 5 guys in the league, too.
615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to Jason in Hendersonville. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, our hats, we tip to Brett Kern. There's not a place he can go in Nashville. We won't pick his drink up for him. We absolutely love Mr. Kern. Having said that, I watched these preseason games, and I was watching 3 positions in particular, and that's obviously the kicking, a right tackle in the corner. I saw a great deal of progression out of Stonehouse that last game. He was absolutely booming kicks, and he did stick a few down there inside the 10. So those naysayers, if he ever does shank one, and I can't recall, you guys can correct me, I didn't see him shank one in the preseason. The only critique that we could find was his leg was too powerful right now.
Yeah.
So the worst case scenario with Mr. Stonehouse is he's going to put a few extra balls inside the end zone, and the referees are going to walk them out and put the ball down on the ground.
Yeah.
So what will shut the naysayers up is when we get stuck down on our 20 and they throw the ball back there to him, and he hits that high 65er and flips the field. Because, I mean, have you been paying attention? Not only the distance, but the height that he was putting on the ball. He's going to be a great addition. I think the coaching staff will, and I know Stonehouse is hearing what the critique is, and I guarantee you he's working hard on getting the backspin on that ball and trying to get those balls to stick, and he'll get there. But once again, if Kern's listening, we love you. You can't go anywhere. You won't have a drink bought for you, and we wish you the very best wherever you're kicking.
Appreciate that, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Let's also add this, is that it's not that Kern lost the job in terms of poor performance. This kid went out there in Stonehouse and won it.
Young guy, man.
He went and won it.
I feel like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's been consistent among really all of the position battles the Titans have had this training camp.
Yeah.
I think Nicholas Petit Frere walked in and took the right tackle job.
Yeah, he took that.
Roger McCreary took the corner job.
Yeah.
When in reality, with Elijah Molden hurt, him and Caleb Farley are both really going to start this year, I would imagine, week 1. And Ryan Stonehouse just came in and won the job. I mean, Brett Kern said it in the locker room after the game on Saturday. He said, I told him as second he got in here for OTAs, I've only seen 3 or 4 guys ever punt the football the way he can.
Acknowledgement.
High praise.
You know what level of pride you have to put to the side to say something like that? Do you
Heck of a lot.
Do you know like the level of like professionalism that goes behind that? It'll be like, look, I'm gonna fight the heck out of you.
Right.
I understand what you bring to the table, and to just be upfront about that, says a lot about a guy. Well, when you're around that long, you also know the business too. And look, all right, this guy wasn't brought in for, just to be a camp body or to rest my leg. He's actually in here to compete. Guys don't do that in general. Guys in general population at a bar don't do that type of stuff, or at the gym. So to have a professional where I know Brett's made all the bread and got all the respect and all the accolades and everything else, but nobody wants to give that seat up like that. And you got to respect the guy that can kind of go up to the man and be like, hey, fair enough. You got it.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in this morning. I feel like a lot of Titans fans have kind of surprised themselves on how sad they are about Brett Kern. Like, I've talked to a number of friends who going into the punter battle in this were just kind of like, hey, I don't really at the end of the day, it's just a punter. I don't really care that much about who the punter is and if this guy gets cut. And then as soon as it was starting to happen, it was kind of like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of sad.
Okay, yeah. Jason brought up something that's very interesting about the heights on Stonehouse's kick. Wasn't there a punter a couple years back that hit the Cowboys media their screens?
Oh, the Titans punter AJ Trapasso was the first one to ever do it.
Yeah,
win Jerry World Open. You remember that, Shave?
Yeah.
Preseason.
Oh yeah, when he hit the scoreboard.
It was AJ Trapasso. I believe it was AJ Trapasso. Yeah,
I think so.
Because he was the backup punter the Titans had on the practice squad there for a few years, and then he was the one that had to end around against the Buffalo Bills in the Hall of Fame game as well. Where they faked a jet sweep, and he faked it and ran for a touchdown for about 50 yards.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut in Tennessee Titans history right there.
Yeesh, Will.
Especially since you were 5 years old. That's amazing.
You say that, but like you're not far off.
No, I know. Hey, I'm joking, but I know I'm not far off either.
So the AJ Trapasso Jumbotron kick was 2009, actually. Wow. So that was a competition with Brett Kern in 2009 when Brett Kern was added to the roster.
Oh God, I really wasn't that far off.
So that was no, I was not 5. I was very far away from being 5 in 2009. Relax.
You weren't a teenager yet.
A little bit of breaking NFL news, and we're going to have this kind of as the show goes on today of who all is getting cut. And there's one player that is going to be available, and we're going to tell you who it is next. Perhaps a fit for the Titans, a position the Titans would have needed this guy at perhaps a year ago. Maybe not as much in the year of our Lord 2022. Plus, coming up next, we have got our official, I'm just going to keep rolling right through, our official, unofficial Titans 53-man roster. All of the cuts, whoever stays, and the Titans get down to 51 today in order to make a couple of additions over the course of this week. Ramon Foster and I will give you our take. Coming up next, it is Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are a little bit iffy at this time, okay? But you need to get locked in today. At the Home Loan Expert, their rates are over a quarter point lower than the national average. So if you've been sitting on the fence to get a refi, if you haven't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time, okay? Because you can still save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month with a simple refi. And if you've been thinking about getting that cash out refi, okay, now is the time. Listen to what you can do. You can pay off your credit card debts, make some home remodeling projects. I got that in mind for myself. Or stick some cash in the bank and stop living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Their clients receive, on average, over $54,000 with a simple cash out refi at closing, okay? And you know this to be true. Your home is your biggest asset. And here in the Nashville area, the home equity is so high right now, so it's the perfect time to do that cash out refi. All right? The last part is this. The housing market somewhat is starting to cool, but inventory is still low, and homes are selling fast. They got to get you pre-approved today. The Home Loan Expert has a lower rate. They have loan programs for almost everyone and a 10-day closing guarantee. They can answer all of your questions and make sure you are ready to close the deal. 10-day closing guarantee only available at thehomeloanexpert.com.
It's Ramona Will, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. Official 53-man roster predictions coming up. Will Bowling and Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer with you. But first, the Buffalo Bills are circling the wagons at the tight end position, and they are releasing former Alabama tight end O.J. Howard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Per source to Adam Schefter of ESPN. That one's interesting.
I did not expect O.J. Howard. Where are we at on O.J. Howard?
So
man?
after the Achilles injury in Tampa.
We're employed. He's not.
Wow. Man's
Nut
am I wrong?
job.
The man might have
I
just
can't spot a
learned from a
lie.
tweet that he got
About
released,
O.J.
and
Howard?
Jonathan Schaefer's already just taking his career.
It's Jonathan Schaefer.
Just taking it away.
Savage, we didn't know we had.
You know what? That's called a northern take.
Fair.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. I
Coming
should've
off the
known
Achilles injury, a little bit of concern there about sustaining the level of performance he had for 5 seasons in Tampa Bay.
at that position. Yeah.
At that position. Of course, Buffalo has Nashville's own Dawson Knox at that position, but O.J. Howard a season ago, 9 starts for Tampa, 17 games played. He only has 135 receiving yards a season ago. First 3 years in the NFL, 432, 565, 459. Then the Achilles injury in 2020. And he only started 1 game and only played 4 games. And only had 146 yards that season in 4 games. And then playing in all 17 a season ago for Tampa Bay only has 135. That was one guy that I thought was going to be within the price range for the Titans this offseason, just considering what he hadn't done the past few seasons. Titans elected to go with Austin Hooper instead. Thought those guys were in a similar tier of tight ends of, you're buying pretty low based off the previous production most recently. But the Titans got a much, much better tight end in Austin Hooper.
Well, even before
than what
that,
Howard is.
how many tight ends do the Titans keep? Because some are projecting only 3.
Really?
I thought 3 too.
That surprises me. Really?
Yeah, I expected 3.
Let's go ahead and jump into this because
By the way, O.J. Howard, real quick though, Will, first round pick, Super Bowl champ. I think he was hurt that year, as you just said a second ago.
college football playoff champ.
Not only just that, Will, but he was the offensive MVP.
Yeah.
In 2015.
He was like an athletic freak in
What happens
in Tuscaloosa.
I know injuries happen, but God,
Man, that Achilles, that's a tough one to bounce back from.
I hate it for him because I know the talent is there. But again, folks, this is the business. The game happens, man. Like I don't really consider him a bust because injuries suck. He'll probably get on again.
Wait
too.
a minute. Who are you saying about being a
O.J.
bust?
Howard.
He's not a bust.
No, he's not a bust.
No,
and that's what
no.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
think so.
because injuries,
Yeah.
that sucks right there. So, did you give the other cut too before the break, before O.J. Howard came up? Kansas City.
A couple other ones. Yeah, Josh Gordon, Kansas City
Yep.
was the other one. No, the Titans aren't going to sign him. 615-737-1045.
Josh Gordon's out there, baby.
Channel my inner Buck Rising.
Guys had time and time again of chances though, and I appreciate that because now those rules in the NFL have changed a little bit as far as the
Yeah, he'll be in Tampa Bay by night's end.
100%. There we go.
Like actually.
There we go.
Either Tampa Bay or Green Bay, if I had to guess. Either way, he's going to a Bay. 615-737-1045. Time for the Titans' 53-man roster,
All right.
according to Ramon Foster and myself. Quarterback.
Quarter.
We're gonna
You said
go
quarter. Okay, all right.
of the throwing variety. We're gonna go position by position, get you to 53 guys, or maybe 51. Who's to say? What do you have at the quarterback position?
I got Tannehill and Malik.
Yep.
Just
Agreed.
my only 2.
Totally agree.
Yeah, no Logan Woodside.
Nope.
All right, for sure.
Logan Woodside's on your practice squad.
Yep.
Running back.
Derek, Hassan, Dontrell, and Torrey Carter.
Yep.
The 4 that we thought.
Cut and dry.
Yep, cut and dry.
That one's easy. Tight end is where we're going to have our first difference. though. It's okay.
Austin Hooper, Chig, and Jeff Swain.
Okay. I'm going to add Tommy Hudson in there as well.
Really?
I played 5 games last year for the Titans. Makes 3 catches, 6 targets. I think they like him from everything we see and hear. I think he ends up sticking. I don't know if he sticks long term.
Yeah.
Could also be one where you push him to the practice squad and then bring him up week 2. But I think Tommy Hudson makes it just based off of the emphasis that this team always seems to have. They always, when in doubt, take the extra tight end.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you see Tommy Hudson's role? More blocking?
I think it's more blocking. I think he gives you a little bit more versatility, but I just think the amount of 3 tight end sets that we see this year with more versatile players at that position means that you have to keep a 4th.
You got 3. You got all 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All
because I think the personnel you had a season ago, if you had 3 tight ends on the field, it was because Anthony Ferkser was functioning as a slot receiver, not because he was technically functioning as a tight end.
Yeah.
So I think this team runs out of the 3 tight end set a little bit more, but we'll see what they end up doing there. I could go either way on that one.
I mean, and it really could, Will. I mean, that could be one of those 52, 53 positions that they can go get somebody else or stash somebody on practice squad, too.
100%.
The efficiency of practice means a lot, though, too. I know I keep saying this, and people are like, Ramon, nobody cares about the practice squad. Like, no, that actually means a lot.
Makes a difference.
Because if you can't see the defensive sets that teams are running against your offense, or the backup tight ends has to have a role of development as a scout team offensive player, too. So we'll see. I don't think you're wrong on that one, though, Will.
Offensive line. How many are you keeping?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm keeping 9 active.
Okay. Me too.
I'm keeping 9 active.
Which 9 you got?
I got Taylor, Aaron, Ben, Nate, NPF, Radans. I have what's his name? Dennis Daly. That's 8.
Yep.
And
that's 7.
That's 7.
Yep.
Give me Jamarco.
Yep.
And Corey Levin.
We have the exact same offensive line group.
And I would also stash Christian DeLauro on practice squad. Too,
okay.
And possibly one more. I'm not sure if they can keep Jordan Rules, but if I could keep him on P squad, I would too. Just because that 11th one.
Sure. Corey Levin has played 12 games for the Titans last year. I think the familiarity there for him puts him over the edge at that position. Corey Levin has played a lot more in a Titans uniform than Jordan Roos has. Roos has only ever played for the Seahawks, has stuck on the practice squad in the past, and has been a fringe guy on this roster, but hasn't had that step-up moment the way Levin has in relief a couple of times for injuries. So I'm with you. I think that's your 9. I think yesterday's move makes that a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
Would it shock me for the Titans to go ahead and get rid of Jamarco Jones and keep one of those other guys? It really wouldn't, because I think Dennis Daly and Jamarco Jones fill the exact same role on that offensive line from a versatility standpoint.
Yeah.
So I could go either way on that one, but I feel pretty confident that's your 9.
Yeah.
On that line. Wide receiver. What you got here?
Man, give me Robert Woods, Traylon Burks, NWI, Kyle Phillips. Racy.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
Me too.
Racy.
I think Des Fitzpatrick gets pushed to the practice squad again, and it's harsh to say that one play really costs you that much. But what we're going to remember from Des Fitzpatrick from the offseason is not the fact that he was an offseason award winner. Respectfully, it's the drop that he had in the end zone at the end of the Arizona Cardinals game on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Vrabel and John Robinson and the way that they emphasize those kinds of moments within a game and within the framework of an offseason are going to weigh that pretty heavily as well.
Yep. And on top of that, too, man, the same issues that he had last year, if you remember, and go back. So I remember Coach Mack speaking about it. I remember Cosell bringing it up a little bit. And Blaine and Mickey had a guy from Louisville last year speaking about him, too, and just how he had, his catching wasn't consistent.
Sure.
What happened in this training camp so far? He went back to last year, just dropping of the ball, like, you got to leave something in the past. And the fact that he didn't leave that in the past, well, even in his last football game, kind of shows that, look, all right, man, there's still work to be done.
Sure.
Everybody likes him.
Right.
But it's a matter of, something is not clicking as far as the hand goes, and that's where I'm at a little bit with him.
I do think the Titans try to pick up somebody out of the cuts that they have over these next couple of days at that position. If there were 2 spots where I felt like the Titans were most likely to add somebody from another team right now who is getting cut, it was swing tackle and wide receiver. They're halfway there. They've already got their swing tackle and Dennis Daly. Wide receiver wouldn't surprise me just with the amount of talent, the amount of athleticism that ends up hitting the waiver wire at that position.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a chance to get somebody who could at least contribute to your practice squad and stick on the team for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 24 on offense that we have, both of us.
That's
You've got 23 on offense with one less tight end.
Yeah.
So you've got room to either add an extra defender on the backside or bring in somebody else.
And I think that's where we're going to be at too.
Yep.
And it starts with these next two positions, outside linebacker and inside linebacker for me. That is outside linebacker, Bud, Harold, Rashad, Ola, and I don't even think you can hide David Aneni.
Well, sorry, say that again.
I don't think you can hide David Aneni to not put him on roster.
Completely agree.
So that's my 5. I'm signing all 5 of them if I can.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Weaver, Landry, Dupree, Adaney, and Aneni are your 5 outside linebackers. Inside linebacker. This one's a little tricky.
Yes. David is on PUP, right? David Long? No. Monty Rice. Monty Rice. So he doesn't count right now.
Correct.
I got David Long. I got Zach, Chance Campbell, Dylan Cole, and my wild card just from the last game. And I don't know how this one's going to end up flopping for us or folding for us, but Joe Jones.
I'm with you again.
I don't know if they actually will, but his level of being able to be Johnny on the spot consistently.
Played 9 games last year.
Is that where you're at with him?
100%.
He's been Johnny on the spot?
He played in 9 games for the Titans last year, mostly special teams, had 6 tackles. I literally think if one play can get you cut, one play might have gotten him on the team in chasing down Andy Isabella on a 74-yard reception against the Arizona Cardinals. Coming from the other side of the field as a 250-pound inside linebacker and tackling one of the quicker slot receivers Arizona has. I think Mike Vrabel and John Robinson love that kind of effort and the kind of personality that gives you a play like that.
100%. It's been consistently that too.
Right.
You know?
Right. Defensive line. We've disagreed on this one in the past, so this might be where we have a difference.
And I may end up. All right, so here we go.
How many are you keeping, first of all?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. I've got 6.
You got 6?
I do.
Oh, you keeping the last one then? Okay. All right. Because on our list, I don't know if you counted Randy last time.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got Jeff. I got Tierre. I got Danico. I got Naquan. And I have DeMarcus Walker.
So that's what I had originally.
Okay.
I'm adding Laurel Murchison in there too.
Whoa, really?
I am.
Okay.
Deshaun Hand just it didn't quite flash enough for me at the end of camp. And Murchison, a former draft pick, I think is going to be given every chance to succeed. Played in 11 games last year, just had 4 tackles. But again, I think the question for him is availability. The guy's healthy right now.
Yeah.
I think it's important for him to get that opportunity. So I'm putting Murchison in there as the 6th defensive lineman because I think the depth at that position and the depth at defensive line, you reward with an extra spot than you possibly would otherwise.
You know where I almost said a little bit with that defensive line is the emergence, honestly, of Rashad.
Yeah.
Rashad makes me think in those sets. Like when I look at Naquan and Tierre, I see run stoppers. Also DeMarcus Walker too. Titans will be playing a set, and I think that's where the secondary comes into play too, Will, to where they'll probably be smaller on defense, smaller, quicker, faster on defense as far as getting after the pass rush this year, as far as facing these running quarterbacks, as far as the mobility of the way offenses are moving around. That's kind of the way I see it. So having, like Deshaun Hand or Laurel Murchison doesn't register enough to me to actually keep them as run stoppers.
Sure.
And I'm not saying I'm wrong. That's just my mindset as far as the outlook on this season. It's to say the quarterbacks that you're facing, you better have guys that can get after them, Interesting. I like Laurel, though. I'm not opposed to Laurel either, Murchison.
Right. Yeah, I think him being your guy that you picked gives him a little bit of a leg up there.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Secondary. This one has been our most interesting battle. I do think this got a lot more cut and dry on Saturday.
Yeah.
With how late Tyree Gillespie got in the game. Titans cut him yesterday.
Yep.
Adrian Colbert just not really being around the ball as much as Ugo Amadi and Theo Jackson, quite as much. It gave us a little bit of a signal there. Adrian Colbert cut yesterday. So 10 on my secondary. I have got Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, Caleb Farley, Elijah Molden, Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker. The 4 extras that I have behind those main 6, Lonnie Johnson, 3 interceptions last year for Houston, played in 14 games. Young guy, I think that they like and they have familiarity with. Josh Kalu is probably my 53rd guy to make the team.
Okay.
Special teams ace, the blocked kicks, the big plays that he's made in preseason. Theo Jackson, 100%. And Ugo Amadi, 100%. I think both of those guys are completely safe at this point.
We're not far off. Hold up. We're finishing up my specialist real quick. And Randy.
So my first couple guys off then are Chris Jackson, A.J. Moore, and Greg Maben.
Okay. I think we're pretty much spot on. I got Caleb. I got McCreary. I got Christian. I got Elijah, Byard, Amani, Lonnie, Kalu, Theo, and Ugo.
Okay. So we do have the same.
Yeah, we got the same.
Yeah.
And it makes sense in these situations right here, I think.
Right.
And, of course, the last 3 specialists, man, Stonehouse, Morgan Cox, and Randy Bullock.
Yep. And that for you is 51, and for me, 53 right there.
And I'm waiting to see. Again, I left a tight end off.
Yeah, tight end and a D lineman.
And a D lineman.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, of course, of the game in general. But, of course, the way I view it, Laurel might be more important to this team than I'm giving him credit for.
Sure.
I just saw him weighing off a little bit more as far as games this year. And the role, honestly, that Tierre played as far as getting lighter this offseason. And also, I think the second game, he played a good bit of that game,
really good
too.
game against Tampa.
He did, and he showed some flexibility and also some conditioning that I thought, okay, well, if he does have to be in on third down, he can,
Right.
Which is why I shorted him one on the D-line.
Interesting to see what they do at that position. Jonathan Schaefer, do you have any strong feelings about where we were right or wrong?
No, not really. I think you can make good cases for the people that you included and for the people that you cut. Laurel Murchison surprised me a little bit, but I understand why. I'm with you. Kalu is probably number 53 on this roster. Although I like what he did, and that's somebody you have a history with, and actually Kalu, an important part of Titans' recent history with a blocked field goal he had against Kansas City. I'm curious to see how many tight ends. I'm wondering if it's going to be 3 or 4. I'm curious to the number of offensive linemen, whether it's going to be 8 or 9. But in terms of people that you've left off, people that you've kept on, no real surprises, and we'll find out more, obviously, at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, we will.
I just feel like when in doubt, the Tennessee Titans will always carry an extra tight end than you think they will.
I mean, this is style.
I agree with that.
What about the other side, though, of, using an extra offensive lineman? That's what we saw Ravens get a little bit of burn last year, too, as far as that extra tight end position.
I think that comes down to the practice squad being bigger than it used to be.
16 players.
So that's the thing. So it's like, where does that get affected the most? Who do you think you're more likely to get onto the practice squad
right
between
Makes
those
sense.
position groups?
Yeah.
And I think as far as Chris Jackson is concerned, Ugo Amadi is closer to a nickel than he is a safety.
Yeah.
So although Ugo Amadi is going to be classified as a safety in name for the Titans, Ugo Amadi's a nickel.
Well, that's where he played at. He played corner this past weekend a little bit, didn't he?
I think I think that's a Chris Jackson replacement and Elijah Molden insurance, who then can cover special teams and cover Amani Hooker if you really, really needed him to.
And his size and stature, he calls him a thumper, right? Isn't that what the role Elijah Molden plays also?
A willing tackler.
A willing tackler.
Like
yes, 100%, man. We're talking about guys' livelihoods here, which this is what we do.
Crazy.
Interesting, man. I think a few of these guys we left off this list will either get signed here or somewhere else, too.
Is there a guy on the bubble of the Titans roster you have a strong feeling will or won't make the team? Let us know. It's 615-737-1045. We've given you our 53-man roster. Maybe don't call in and give your entire 53. But if you have a strong feeling about where one guy is or isn't on this team, let us know. 615-737-1045. More roster projections coming up. It's Ramona Will, powered by All Four Seasons of 1045 The Zone. Cut day for the Tennessee Titans. The 53-man roster from Ramon and Will just released. It's the roster that everybody's been waiting on pins and needles for. It's Ramon and Will, powered by all four seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
I mean, that sounds uncomfortable. They're waiting on pins and needles.
615-737-1045. If you've got a strong opinion either way about a player on the bubble. And we go to the phone lines where Coach B is checking in with us this morning. Good morning, Coach B.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? What's going on?
Not much.
Not much, man. Can I just say something real quick, man? We use that drop where you say he's a suckish quarterback.
He's a suckish quarterback. That beat me.
Thank you for providing content to the show every single day.
He's a suckish quarterback. Hey, I'm gonna have to go to the bag and think of something else to give y'all. So
There we go.
No
Hey,
doubt.
man, Dez got to go, man.
Yeah.
I've been trying to hang on for Dez for about the last 2 years, and the same thing with Dez. It just seems like he just keeps doing the same thing, hoping that it becomes the right thing. You know, he's not learning from his mistakes or the coaching that he's getting. I just don't see no improvement. I haven't seen no improvement in the last 2 years. His name just keeps frequently coming up, and it's just like blah. It's the same thing over and over again. So I think Dez got to go, man. We got to get somebody else a shot to contribute to the team.
Yeah.
Especially at the O line and at the corners and safety spots. I really think that we need to add another body at those positions. So, hey, man, I appreciate y'all letting me get on, and man, I'll talk to you guys.
No doubt.
Thank you, Coach B.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call. 615-737-1045.
Yeah, I think Dez is out. Usually, you know, you can bring him back at practice squad because there's so many like spots available.
Right.
But in the same time, it's just like, dog, when are you gonna turn it on? Like, you know better now.
So people bring up that off-season award, and journalists we've talked to talking about his status have brought up the fact that, hey, he won the Titans off-season award.
Yeah.
How often is stuff like that used to just simply motivate a player even more to just continue showing up the way they did for a small sample size? Basically what I mean is, hey, you had good OTAs.
Yeah.
We need you for this to be your baseline effort. That's right. And so we're going to motivate you by giving you an award here so that way you show up and this is the floor of what you do every day.
You know what, Will? We had guys that usually stick around like that too. You saw them do work, but the majority of the guys go out of town, go see something different. You know, like groom themselves. Like my trainer here, like I trained here, of course, because I live here. But he dogged me, Will, like really like grinded, and that I didn't get an award for that either. But this is the other thing, like what you do during the spring. You know, we used to give guys where we practice on the south side of Pittsburgh. We used to call it the South Side All-Americans. Well, there are no All-Americans in the NFL. Okay, this ain't college. What you do in the springtime don't matter. What you do in camp, how you perform when the lights are on, like that's what matters. And I think that's where we're at when we come down to guys that get those awards. Like we got 2 guys now that receive those awards that are in non-starting positions too. You know what I'm saying? Like Raiden started off hot. And right now, NPF took that. So what did the award do for him?
Yeah.
You know, like Dez got that award, and like what did that do? Like I'm not sure if he's gonna make it or not. He's at least, you know, he's at most a bubble
It's
guy
in the
at this point.
conversation. Yeah.
But what does that award mean if you can't translate it, Will? Guess what? I'm sure you've seen guys. Man, that guy can bench the house.
Yeah, right.
That guy is fast as ever.
That's what they used to say about me.
But he got brick hands. You know?
Yeah.
You got brick hands or brick feet?
No, I was saying that guy can bench the house was, you know, what they said about me.
Will,
Kidding.
ball is ball. And that's what today basically resorts to. These cuts, it sucks. But ball is ball, man. And a guy can look a certain way. A guy can be tall. A guy can run like a gazelle. Well, if he can't perform the job.
It's not the workout football league.
No.
It's the National Football League.
Man, they got physique contests for that. Okay.
Yeah.
You be, what is it? Phil Heath. What is he? Mr. Olympus. Mr. Olympia.
You lost me.
Huh?
Olympia. Yeah.
Olympia.
Yeah.
Like, it's those competitions
There you
right
go.
there. Like, this ain't that. This is a performance-based sport.
We have to be careful, too, in devaluing all of preseason simply because it's been devalued for starters. I would actually argue, Ramon, that since the value of the preseason has declined so much for the ones, it's actually increased that much more for the 2s and the 3s.
100%.
because Kevin Dyson has said this with us on Titans Talkback many times, that preseason is no longer about preparation, it's about an audition.
Facts.
And Des Fitzpatrick came into camp thinking that this was an audition because that's the situation that he's been in.
Yep.
Now, he would have been a favorite to make the team at the beginning of camp based on rave reviews of the way he performed at OTAs coming into camp. But I think just because, we kind of shake our heads and say, preseason doesn't need much for Ryan Tannehill anymore, or for Derrick Henry anymore, or for Robert Woods anymore. That doesn't apply to everybody.
No, it doesn't.
And in fact, it applies even more so now to the 2s and the 3s because the starters aren't even in the mix at all.
And this is the other half of that too, Will. Like in those starters, you have like your superstars. Jeff's a superstar, right? Like Tannehill's a star. Like Derrick's a star. Harold's a star. Jeff's a star. And then you got your other starters. But that group that's auditioning, as you said, Will, is what we like to call core players.
Right.
These are the guys that's going to make up the mass of your team. Like the first place runner in your track meets, I'm sure he got a crap load of points, right?
Yep.
But it was also counting that second, that fifth place, that seventh place guy was like, okay, the team is winning. Like it's that also. Like when those guys are auditioning during preseason games and during preseason practice, like they matter a lot. That's why it kind of, moves me the wrong way when people call it fake football. Like it's not fake. These are real situations here. Like the games aren't counted, but the reps mean a lot. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it legitimately does, Will. So and so much so, we saw a second-year guy get upseated by a rookie. Like that's how much it means.
Yeah. 615-737-1045. You're exactly right about what this means for Des Fitzpatrick and many others on the bubble of the Titans roster. Of course, the cut's coming today at 3 o'clock. In an official capacity, but over the next couple hours, I imagine we will get some word about who is or who is not reportedly staying on the roster, according to Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, those like that. So stay tuned over the next couple hours. But while we do that, Ramon Foster, it's time to talk some Vols.
Yes.
For the second half of the show. Halftime of the show, stretch your legs, get loose, get ready for the first possession of the third quarter, get some coffee.
Drink some water, too.
And coming up next, we talk with Josh Ward at 8:20 out of Sports Radio that's out of Sports Radio WNML. Jonathan Schaefer at 7:54 a.m. is thinking about beers. Maybe you're thinking about Vols game day eve.
It's football season. You can drink that.
Football is back. Tennessee football. A lot of that coming up next. Ramona Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah. Summer's over, but that joint pain is still there, and it's time to do something about it. It's Ramon Foster, and I want you to call QC Kinetics now. You've put it off long enough. It's time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees and back and shoulder and hips. Yeah, I named all of them because I know you're feeling it right now. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in an exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Lots of people here have done this, and they're living life to the fullest, pain-free. Don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics today. Stop putting it off. Call now for a free consultation at 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. Again, that's 615-249-4024.
It is 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. Prior to today's 53-man roster deadline, the Titans have released punter Brett Kern. Spent 13 seasons with the team, was its longest tenured player during the Titans era. He earned 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections from 2017 to 2019. First team AP All-Pro in 2019, second team All-Pro in 2017. He lost the starting job during training camp to rookie Ryan Stonehouse. The roster deadline, 3 o'clock this afternoon. The team acquired offensive lineman Dennis Daly and a 2024 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 5th-round selection. Daly has 34 games of NFL experience, made 21 starts for the Panthers. He's played at left tackle, left guard, and right guard. And Vanderbilt announced that its football stadium will be known as First Bank Stadium in a 10-year naming rights deal that begins this season. The field will still be known as Dudley Field. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3 and the beginning of the second half. A second half that includes lots of Tennessee Vols conversation as we are 2 days away from Tennessee and Ball State in week 1 of the 2022 season. Along with Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. Great to have you with us. We are Ramon and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. It is cut day for the Tennessee Titans, but we are focused on Josh Ward, Ron Slay, the Tennessee Volunteers here in hour number 3. But before we get to that, Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
News out of Atlanta, where the Atlanta Titans have made a cut.
Nice.
The Atlanta Falcons are releasing Michael Pruitt, per a league source, to Aaron Wilson. So if you were thinking about the Titans possibly keeping a 4th tight end, maybe they go get him.
Michael Pruitt.
That's one of those moves where
They brought him back before.
actually could happen.
And also, as Coach Mack will also remind you, too, at those week 2 signings, where the salaries aren't guaranteed, is
That's
where
right.
you can see a guy like him come into play, too, where you don't have to pay – you're not guaranteed to pay the vet salary at that point.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We will continue to keep you updated on those headlines. Who is hitting the waiver wire at the end of the day in an official capacity, and who is reportedly moving on from their specific teams. One guy who is going to be available for a local team, not the Tennessee Titans, but the Tennessee Volunteers, a headline over the weekend we did not get to yesterday, Ramon Foster. Brew McCoy will be playing football for the Tennessee Football Vols on Thursday.
Yeah.
Getting good news after months long of a process of USC not signing waivers. Brew McCoy becomes officially eligible after missing the 2019 season due to illness, all of last season following an arrest in July of 2021. Never charged in connection to that incident, but now USC is in the rear view, and Tennessee has their wide receiver 2 behind Cedric Tillman.
Yeah. Which either one of them can be a 1 depending on the day, man.
So here's what I like about this real quick, is the fact that you have the same type of wide receiver now on both sides of the field.
Yep.
We've talked about this before, specifically in the NFL, when you can build rosters a little bit more specifically. Different in college, when you might not have 2 really big physical corners on your team unless you are a blue blood of college football. Mm-hmm. So what you're looking at here now is that Walker Merrill, former Brentwood Bruin, was going to be the receiver opposite of Cedric Tillman. Mm-hmm. Merrill is a little bit of a smaller, quicker guy than a more physical Cedric Tillman. Yeah. So you could put your most physical, big, skilled corner on Tillman. Now you might not have that luxury quite as much.
No.
Because Brew McCoy is on the opposite side of the field. I don't think this is always a number 1 corner versus number 1 wide receiver situation now. Yeah. Because Brew McCoy has potential in what he was rated coming out of high school of also being a number 1.
Yeah. And that's what I said when you mentioned Cedric Tillman. I was just like, well, nobody's really going to take a back seat over here to either one of them. Like, they can be 1 and 1A or 1 and 1. The way you view them depending on the day, too. And the thing about these 2 guys is they have size, too. I mean, both of them 6'3", 215 plus. with not just like a bad 15. It's not like a slow 215. These guys are body guys, and right behind him, Brew McCoy, and they have it listed as Brew McCoy or Walker Merrill also.
They're both going to play a lot Thursday.
He's 6'4".
Yeah.
I did not realize that. He's a little thinner than the other two, but he's 6'4" and is an athlete. I remember my trainer, his kid goes to Brentwood High. He spoke about him a while back. I was like, is he nice? Like, yeah, he's nice. You got to recognize that when it is that, man.
Really quick.
Yes. And with good hands, too. The one wide receiver that I'm very interested in is Squirrel White.
Me too.
Because I saw, you remember the Ole Miss game last year? They had a small scat back type of running back. He was a running back, though, but he was quick and fast in space.
Sure.
If Squirrel is what we think he is, and he was one of those hidden gems that, other SEC teams saw and wanted, but he ended up committing to UT. If you can create with him a freshman, man, and yes, he's small at 5'10", 160-ish, that could mean a lot for this offense with these wide receivers. They're deep. They got some they have some talent around them. This could be good, my fellow brother. This could be good.
With a name like Squirrel, he has to be good.
Got to be quick. You ever been that fast? Never, huh?
No. Absolutely not.
Ask me if I have.
Have you ever been
too
that
slow.
fast? John Robinson, thank you for the answer.
The deuces.
I think that was for me, one of the top 2 or 3 priorities of the Tennessee offseason.
Yeah.
Was to get a secondary option behind Cedric Tillman. Mm-hmm. Because a year ago, Cedric Tillman surprised a lot of people.
Yep.
Cedric Tillman is not surprising anyone this year. Mm-hmm. A guy who could become a first or second round draft pick, the physicality, the speed that he has at that wide receiver position. Mm-hmm. You need somebody else to attract the best of SEC defenses and punish you if they don't.
Choose.
Brew McCoy coming out of high school as a 5-star wide receiver. And look, I just trust Josh Heupel to get a lot out of 3-star wide receivers.
Yeah.
The second he adds a 5-star wide receiver, you've really got my attention. Mm-hmm. I think we're looking at a situation this year where those are your 2 guys that are definitively above 1,000 yards this season. I think Tennessee's got 2 wide receivers that go above 1,000, and it's those 2 guys.
What's wild, though, is of the one we're expecting the most out of, at least coming out of high school, Cedric Tillman is the lowest rated one.
Easily.
He was a 3-star. And that's why I'm very interested to ask, Josh Ward, how does he feel about, and I don't even want to call him supporting cast because these guys are who they are, but Ramel Keaton. Him, a former 4-star coming out of high school.
Marietta High School, too.
Jimmy Calloway, another kid that's, 4-star coming out of high school. And, they have the talent there. Again, you have to develop it. We're watching another kid right now in Caden Mays who pretty much pushed the kid out of town because Vols become better pros than they are college players, okay? And I'm hoping with Heupel and his staff, Rodney Garner and Coach Martinez and Glenn Ellaby and so on and so forth, man, they get to a point to where will we actually see these stars come out? And not just at the development of a guy like Cedric Tillman, who's a redshirt senior that's got an opportunity, to really just, all right, I'm on the scene, y'all. Come draft me. That's what you want.
615-737-1045 is the number. Cedric Tillman saying a month ago at SEC Media Days, from the moment Brew McCoy came here, I got excited. Velus Jones apparently teased him. Velus Jones, former teammates with Brew at USC very briefly.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever actually overlapped, but at least had that familiarity. Knew each other really well from USC. Told Cedric Tillman immediately, you guys are going to be best friends.
Wow.
And apparently off the field, those 2 guys have become really close. Cedric Tillman coming from Bishop Gorman out of Vegas, and the California LA, or the California LA. Yep, that's a demerit. California Las Vegas. That is a demerit. There was a loss out there. It was just I'm the one that took the loss.
Short-circuited right there.
I took the loss, and I took the loss in front of the wrong, second word.
Yeah, you did.
Hendon Hooker saying he's a guy that I could call him at 3 a.m. and he'd be ready to go catch footballs.
Wow.
It seems like a guy that's going to fit pretty well into what Tennessee wants to do on the outside. But I think Ramon Foster, the one that might benefit the most from Brew McCoy officially entering the fray, is Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
Because now Jalen Hyatt has pressure taken off of him once again in the slot position. Mm-hmm. And I think Jalen Hyatt could have a similar season to what we saw from Velus Jones a year ago. The hands are the concern for him. The physicality is a concern for him.
Yeah.
But now when you're talking about 2 wide receivers that are 215 plus on each side of the formation. There's not going to be enough big physical corners outside of the Georgias, the Alabamas, and the blue blood programs to push Jalen Hyatt off the football, perhaps like they have in the past. That's the big question I have. How much stronger, how much more physical has Jalen Hyatt become to kind of hold his own at that position?
I'm gonna show you a clip, man. Speaking of just him, Jalen Hyatt and his talent, you can't see this, but when Tennessee's good, they hit the Carolinas well as far as recruiting.
Always.
The Carolinas, you get Virginia, and you also hit California. That's what we're talking about now.
Okay.
Look at South Carolina's 2020 top 5 class.
Yeah. It was South Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, South Carolina.
That's saying something right there for that kid to leave the state, man. And you want that to pay off for him. But again, that is a hotbed, man, of talent coming out of the state of South Carolina. And the guys I've known from there, man, have all balled out for the most part, you know? And so for him going into, like, he's coming into his own now. And you expect a young kid like him to say, all right, it's go time. Like I said, what does his growth look like? Has he put on that mask? You know, the hands, if that's a question around that, do we dead that now? But the supporting cast around him, says this. If all goes well and you stay healthy, everybody's going to eat. Mm-hmm. And that's what this offense is supposed to be. That's why I'm like, well, I'll be real with you. And we touched on this, but we hadn't dove into it as far as, you know, the hype that's around Tennessee football. Is not necessarily us, the Vol fanatics for the most part, although we do get crazy and we're what we would say 2 eves away from game day.
Football eve.
But I'm very cautious about what this offense is going to look like the second time around. Is that fair?
No, I think it is because Hendon Hooker has had an entire offseason knowing he's QB1, but also knowing the checks and the changes that he's now allowed to make at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I think we see this team look really different in the running game for that reason and that reason alone.
Okay.
I think that's where you see the difference.
Do we see Joe Milton at any point as far as packages,
Thursday?
running the ball? No, running the ball just in general. Do you see that being the case here?
Not a bad idea.
Okay. Who stayed locked in this offseason?
I don't know if you see him as much as you might see one of those running backs.
Okay.
Like Dylan Sampson, who's clocked at 10.4 in the 100-meter dash and 22 miles an hour in practice. Let's get Josh Ward's thoughts on that coming up next. Sports Radio WNML. He's on Josh and Swain up in Knoxville. And he gives us the vibe in Knoxville going into Thursday's game here on Tennessee Football Eve. And I want to know why people aren't more concerned about the defensive backs, Ramon Foster. Because every guest that we've had on over the past 2 weeks has told us that they feel okay where Tennessee is at that position.
Wow.
I could not disagree more. See if Josh Ward will take my side. Coming up next, Shimona Will, powered by All Four Seasons, 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything. Like when a relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement. Yeah. Think about it for a second. Or an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke, fire, and water damage. Or that musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's when you call ServPro. They have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structural rebuilds. ServPro is the call you make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. So call the official ServPro downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how they can help you get back to like it never even happened. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction. Franchise that independently owned and operated.
Oh, yes. 2 days away. Ladies and gentlemen, on Tennessee Football Eve, it is Ramona Willow, 104.5 The Zone.
I'm a VA.
Powered by
I'm
all
one of
four
those that
seasons
thinks the
garage
balls are
doors.
all right.
That one kills me every time.
Shout out to Bullet,
a
man.
VAA. I didn't realize what he was saying until today, that it was VAA. But I like it even more now.
The Vols are all right.
That's right. Will Bowling and Ramon Foster with you. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, and joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline from Knoxville, Tennessee, Sports Radio WNML. He is Josh Ward. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
Hey, doing well. It is the season of letters. Everybody's fired up about the Vols letters coming back to Neyland Stadium. So it's a big week for Tennessee fans.
That's right. What have you heard about the new updates to Neyland Stadium? Every time Tennessee posts any kind of hype video or practice video inside Neyland Stadium, I'm always like pausing it in like certain, frames to try to see what we can see of what it looks like now.
Yeah, they're really excited for everybody to see. We had Tennessee's deputy AD, Ryan Alpert, come on our show in Knoxville yesterday to talk about some of the upgrades and changes. There's a lot of talk about what they're calling the social deck or the party deck and the second jumbotron that's up there. So that's, I think, what a lot of people are talking about. In addition to the Vols letters coming back, having two sets up there where over the last couple of months, people have been driving by to take video or photos so they can send to friends and families and just, hey, they're back. Even though you can Google the photos, you can see them, but people want to go see them for themselves. So I think being back at Neyland Stadium to see that, and then the lights, which we saw last year, and they've done more with the Bandit lights in Knoxville to make it a full show experience, all of that. So a lot of things, and then you can go into trying to make some changes to make it easier with concessions and restrooms, and it's going to take several years. Maybe the next most common question has been Wi-Fi. I think they're a year away from really making the big steps they want to from a Wi-Fi standpoint, but the visual, I think, will be impressive on Thursday.
Please get the Wi-Fi, dog. You know what I mean?
Everybody wants it.
You remember last year when it was at the night game in Ole Miss? I couldn't even tweet out my video till I left. That's some first world problems right there, Josh. My bad. Go ahead, Will.
Come up to the press box. The Wi-Fi works great in the press box, so we'll get you up there. You'll have no problem.
You get Wi-Fi
I'm trying to get Swain to come sit up there, and he refuses. So remote the seats open.
Wi-Fi and halftime ice cream. What else could you need, Josh?
Yeah, in the past couple of years, been a lot of media complaints because they'll lock the ice cream bin during the first half, and we can't get it until halftime. So, it's prison-like up there in the press box.
That's right. There's nothing sacred in these Neyland Stadium streets. I love it. Josh Ward with the Sports Radio WNML. So, Josh, what makes Thursday a success for Tennessee? What is one specific thing you need to see them achieve in order for this to be a solid opener to the 2022 season?
Well, Josh Heupel probably starts with health, making sure they get out of there as healthy as possible to get ready for the big game the next week against Pitt. He talked about on Monday being happy with where they are from a health standpoint coming out of the month of August. But, I think offensively, seeing some of the new guys in big roles at the skill positions be able to make some plays, show some connection there with the quarterback coming back and Hendon Hooker. So Jalen Hyatt stepping up in a big role in the slot, Brew McCoy now being eligible and able to play. But not just him, Walker Merrill's going to be counted on in this offense. Could Jimmy Callaway do something within this offense at receiver? And then newcomers at running back, there's a lot of excitement about Dylan Sampson. So those skill position players being able to show that they can make some plays. I think takeaways on defense. You have, I think, increased speed on defense. You have Jeremy Banks, who's a year older there at middle linebacker, who can be a playmaker. So making some plays against an inferior team. And then lastly, I would say do what you want to along the lines of scrimmage. You want to be disruptive on defense and the offensive line. It's kind of the reversal. You don't want to be coming out of Thursday night saying, man, at left tackle, I'm not sure how I feel, or those four guys coming back, they weren't able to push Ball State around the way that you want to. When you have that kind of team coming in, you want your SEC line of scrimmage to show that it's an SEC line of scrimmage.
And that's where I was going to go first, man. At left tackle, they got it as Gerald Mincy or Jeremiah Crawford, man. As far as the outlook of the team, which would you prefer as far as the redshirt sophomore or the senior at that position? Because since they're still saying there's really no real winner there.
Yeah, and the plan is to rotate both guys. That's what we were told at least Monday going in, and that's been the expectation through the month of August. So maybe this, to go back to what you want to see, you want to see one guy being the guy, knowing that's our left tackle heading to Pitt next week. Which would you prefer? I mean, if you play the upside game, I mean, I would probably sell you on, okay, Gerald Mincey is a transfer from within the SEC. He was at Florida. If he can really tap into what his potential was going to Gainesville and then transferring to Tennessee, you probably like his upside more. He's a redshirt sophomore, has more eligibility, so you would think that there's something to grow with compared to Crawford as well. They need to get that spot solidified, because I do think they feel really good about the other four starters, the potential of growth at guard with Javonte Spraggins. Carvin's a leader on the team, not just the offensive line. Mays is really important at center, and then Darnell Wright's a potential high draft pick. The one real question among the starters has been left tackle. So getting that figured out as best you can, considering it's Ball State and Pitt will be better up front a week later, that's a priority for Tennessee.
Josh, other position battles for Tennessee right now on the defensive side of the ball, Karat Garland or Bryson Eason, starting alongside Byron Young. How do you feel about this front seven for Tennessee right now with a lot of the production they have returning from last year?
Well, one of the main talking points of the offseason was replacing Matthew Butler and all of the snaps that he played, and he's now in the NFL. And there are a couple other guys that played a good amount, in Blakely and Tremblay on the defensive line. But finding more players and legitimate depth, if Tennessee can be better defensively, I think a lot of it is going to come up front, being more disruptive on the edge and having more quality depth so you're not wearing down as games go along and as the season goes along. Because late in the season, Tennessee's defense found more issues. Well, depth concerns probably were an issue there. So if you can count on Garland, Eason, Amari Thomas is a player that would be lined up next to those two guys that you mentioned that has a ton of potential. And then, Dejon Terry is back, transfer a year ago. And somebody like Dominique Bailey has started to get some buzz here the last couple of weeks. And we're told, watch to see what he can do. He was a highly touted player 3 years ago. If more of those guys can be productive and Rodney Garner has confidence in those guys to share the snaps, I'm not saying one guy becomes Matthew Butler, but if more guys become what you can count on, you trust the development under Rodney Garner, right? And I think this defense can go from where third down stops last year was a problem. In the SEC, they were 13th in the league. When they went on the road, they were the worst in the league in trying to get off the field on third downs. They need to be better there, and I think that starts up front.
Josh Ward with us, Sports Radio WNML here on Ramon and Will. Jeremy Banks and Juwan Mitchell are two really interesting pieces of this Tennessee defense for me, Josh. How much do you feel like Tennessee is expecting a really big bounce-back season after the early injury last year for Juwan Mitchell, who at this time last year we were saying is one of the most important players on Tennessee's entire roster?
Yeah, a year ago before the season, if you're told, hey, Juwan's really not even going to factor in, you probably would have worried about the position in the defense, right? So if we can now flip it and say, okay, Juwan's back, I think during a lot of the season, once you realized he wasn't going to factor in, went into the offseason, I don't think there was really much of a projection to have him on defense this year. So if he can play the full season healthy and he's bought into what they're doing defensively, he's shown that he can make plays, make tackles, and he's played at a high level at Texas a couple years ago where he led the Longhorns. To go along with Jeremy Banks, so I think there's real optimism that he makes a leap and can be one of the better linebackers in the SEC. Say what we have about Jeremy Pruitt, that is one gift that was left behind, that he evaluated Banks and said, you know what, running back's not going to work out. Let's move him to linebacker, brought him back to the program, and look at what he's able to do now. And I think Banks can be a guy that he can get after the quarterback. He can potentially make plays. He did in practice, I believe, scrimmage earlier in fall camp where he was able to make an interception. Banks can be a leader on the defense, and I think there's been a lot of talk of him being locked in. So if Mitchell is somebody that can be counted on, similar to what we talked about with the interior of the defensive line, less pressure on Beasley. Solon Page is back. Not the most talented guy on defense, but he's now played a good amount. You feel a little bit better about linebacker. If they deal with injuries, then I feel worse. But if Mitchell is able to play all season, I think you can like your starters there and the ability to be better than they were last year.
It's really interesting last year, Josh, because on yards per play, Tennessee was middle of the road in the SEC. Problem is only 3 defenses in college football faced more snaps than Tennessee did on defense. And do you feel like we saw that secondary just kind of get gassed by the end of the year? How better conditioned do you think they are this year with a little bit more experience and a little bit more depth on the outside, specifically at corner?
Well, from a depth standpoint, I think there is a lot more optimism in the secondary because you bring in a transfer like Wesley Walker, who's not even listed as a starter on the depth chart because he's behind Tamarion McDonald, who's probably one of the players that's received the most buzz over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They like his potential there, so he's listed as the starter at star. We'll see Wesley Walker on the field. You have Andre Turrentine come in as a transfer to compete and practice. Here's an example of where I think they feel better about the depth. Is there a number one? I don't know. In terms of, hey, this is our top corner. He's going to be a big-time playmaker. But, late in the season, Christian Charles was dealing with injury, but they saw him for a little bit last year as a freshman and said he can be a good player. We saw Brandon Turnage get some SEC honors when he had to step in the middle of the season for Theo Jackson. He's not listed on the depth chart, and I think that's been one question fans have had is, well, where's Turnage? This is the guy we talked about in the offseason. That doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing because I do think that they expect him to factor into the secondary, but it could mean that other guys have emerged and created some confidence there with Tim Banks and Willie Martinez coaching in the secondary. So if they deal with an injury, if Charles or Haddon were to go down at corner, I think they feel better about the next guy that they would have to step up. Does that mean this is a top 4, top half of the league even secondary? I can't say that, but in terms of if they deal with injury, which you always have to expect, I think the staff is more comfortable with the next guy they have to put out there this time.
For me, Josh, the Purdue game in the Music City Bowl leaves kind of a bad taste in my mouth about the defense, but more specifically just about that secondary, right? Because Alontae Taylor doesn't play. It's a lot of the guys that you're going to be seeing playing significant minutes this year who end up giving up all those points and the big plays against Purdue in that football game. How does that game specifically and kind of the way things ended for Tennessee kind of change the mood and the vibe specifically about this defense for you?
Yeah, we get to this point in the year or the month of August, and we say, man, I'd just like to see the team that we've been talking about play somebody else, and the players would like to go hit somebody else. I'm sure the secondary would like to go out there and play a game so that the last one we talk about is not Purdue because they need to get past that one. Warren Burrell, who is listed as a starter coming back as a senior, he did not have a good day against Purdue. So getting him back out there and play another game to where we're not talking about Purdue as the most recent one is important. And by the way, we're talking about depth and we're talking about guys that can step up. We still have a lot of the same questions. We still wonder, okay, can they get some stops? What are they going to do against Kayshon Boutte when they play him from LSU and all the receivers that some of these teams are going to have and quarterbacks that are able to move on third down? Can they get off the field? Are they going to be susceptible to the point that you expect the other team to pick up a first down if they have a quarterback that can move in any kind of way? Those are questions to be answered. But internally, with what they have in terms of available bodies and development with certain players that we talked about, like Jeremy Banks, and they're hoping Amari Thomas and definitely Tyler Barron and Byron Young on the edge, and then can a couple of freshmen step up. This time a year ago, we weren't really able to have those conversations. Now we can. They just need to show what they can do. The first really big test, because they shouldn't be tested against Ball State, you go on the road against Pitt next week. So some of these questions that we've been asking for the last 8 months will get answered pretty quickly.
As far as the running backs go, one thing we know for sure, and I'll even throw this in there, as far as mobile running backs, Hendon Hooker, potentially Joe Milton, like, where are we at with this run game? Because that's one thing Heupel harped on last year when he got that job. Yeah, we talk about us being through the air. We talk about how quick this offense is, but the running game in the SEC means a lot. Where do you see us being at this year when it comes to that, us getting yards on the ground?
Well, I like where they are right now. I say right now because you hope to not get some guys hurt, which can happen at that position. Obviously, it did a year ago and at the start of camp. Jalen Wright was slow. He was slow for the first few weeks, but he comes back as a sophomore. They love Dylan Sampson. Sometimes you can ignore what is said at a press conference. Sometimes they'll pay attention. And when the offensive coordinator, Alex Golish, is raving about what a freshman is doing at running back, and then your senior quarterback, Hendon Hooker, is raving about what Dylan Sampson has done on the practice field, well, that tells me that they expect him to play some kind of role pretty quickly within the offense. Now, can he protect the quarterback? That is absolutely going to matter. But Sampson has a chance to make plays in this offense. They still like the potential a lot of Justin Williams-Thomas. Ramon, we've talked about short yardage situations around the goal line. What do you do there? They need to be better. Having Hendon back, he's probably a better decision maker than he was a year ago. That has to help. If the offensive line is better, that has to help. Jabari being bigger, can that help in short yardage situations? Can they look at another option? Swain's brought up Jeremy Banks, a former running back. Think about it, in the past, A.J. Johnson was used in short yardage situations. Quavaris Crouch, who had a history at running back, he was used in short yardage situations. Could they look at other options to go along with Small or Williams Thomas, who's a freshman, but in the 215-pound range? I don't know, but that's key because Tennessee's offense was explosive, and they were one of the best in the country last year. But in the SEC, they were actually in the back half of red zone scoring. If they can improve there, that shows room for growth. If they can be better in red zone scoring, I think that means they're better running the football in short yardage situations.
Just so you know, as this guy's kind of brought this university together as of lately, man, with everything that he's put in place. But Danny White, him going at Auburn pretty much openly. How do you view that, man? Because he comes from a family of administrators, man. Understanding, I think everybody saw how bad Auburn was, but to loudly kind of say, hey, get out of there. I don't like it. You see this SEC rivalry was another dig for some reason. Like, I thought it was quite comical.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's the administrator fraternity as well. And don't come at the Whites people. I'll tell you that much because Kevin White with what he put out, and then Danny White being a part of the SEC and saying that, in regards to an SEC institution, I do wonder from the league office to say, hey, can we please tone it down about one of our other schools here? But yeah. I will tell you this. If I recruit against Auburn, I'm going to make sure that they know that around the league and elsewhere, some of the most respected people out there, they see the chaos that's happening down there on the plain. So it's just something like we know, right? We know about the plane for Bobby Petrino. We know about everything that's happened at Auburn over the last couple decades and beyond. But when others who are still active start to talk about it publicly, well, that's something else for Auburn to deal with. So no pressure. Brian Harsin is now. There's going to be a new AD coming in as well.
Sheesh.
Josh Ward has been our guest, Sports Radio WNML. You can find him on Josh and Swain up in Knoxville. Josh, are people talking themselves into 1-2 additional wins the closer we get? We always do this, right? Where the win totals in June, you add 1.5 more once you get towards game week.
Yeah, is there an option in the regular season for more than 12? Because I think that's what people are trying to bust through. I think what's happened, like the Brew McCoy news, people were so excited on Friday and should have been. That was good for Tennessee's offense. I think that was the final solidifying factor. So if you're at 10-2, you are 10-2 with a bullet now. 8, like Swain and I both predicted 8-4, and we're the negative people in Knoxville, I think.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know, right? So people are ready to go, and they should be. It's an offense that can be really exciting. You haven't had a quarterback coming back with this kind of proven potential in terms of what they've done and what they could do next since Josh Dobbs 6 years ago. So fans are ready to go. And I will say, if things break the right way and they're able to stay relatively healthy, then they'll be better than the 8-4 that Swain and I have predicted.
Not bad. Josh Ward has been our guest here on Ramon and Will. Josh, always appreciate the time, man. We'll do it again soon.
Hey, you got it. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, there he is, Josh Ward on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline with us this morning.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to react to a little bit of what he had to say, plus a little bit of Tennessee news earlier this week. A local quarterback getting an offer from Tennessee.
Hey, now.
Tennessee perhaps picking its quarterback in the next couple of classes. And if you want to head to Knoxville Thursday, we've got your chance. It is a big opportunity for you to head to Knoxville to see the Vols take on Ball State. It is Tennessee Ticket Tuesday coming up next. Your chance to win a pair of tickets on Ramon and Will, powered by All Four Seasons on 104.5 The Zone.
Are you tired of working for someone who doesn't see your potential? Feel like that messing with Shafe every day, but I won't complain. Never mind. Or providing you with the opportunity to grow in your industry. It's Ramon Falston. I know the company can take care of all of the things you're looking for and give you the opportunity you're looking for. And they are Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a small, locally owned company that is looking to get bigger. And you can be a part of that expansion, okay? You can become one of their service experts and receive medical, dental, and vision. Matching 401k, which is huge. 2 weeks of vacation after the first year. Holiday pay, company and factory training, okay? And top pay within industry standards. You could become Spring Hill's Heating and Cooling's next all-star. Apply now at springhillac.com.
It's Ramona Will at 104.5 The Zone. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster with you. Special thanks to Josh Ward for hanging out with us a little bit this morning, talking Vols with him. And again, Ramon, nobody matches the concern that I have for Tennessee's secondary.
Well, not at all. Well,
again.
Well, you probably got a little bit of PTSD. This is another thing, too. They've seen it more than you actually have, too.
Right.
You know, so.
Before we dive into that, it is your chance to head to Knoxville to see the Vols taking on Ball State on Thursday. Tennessee Ticket Tuesday is right now. 615-737-1045. 2 tickets to Ball State versus Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. It is 2 days away, and you could have 2 tickets to see the Vols play this week. 615-737-1045. Call Jonathan Schaefer right now for your chance to win, and head to the 865 on Thursday. Off and running.
Off and running, baby.
People go.
Loaded.
So I think some of that is interesting, what he has to say about Tennessee on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to know my audience here and go to the offensive line.
Go ahead.
We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that Tennessee has got to do basic math this year after really just majoring in calculus a season ago. They've got to convert more 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, and 3rd and 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Something we talked about in the break that we didn't get to at Josh. I think Hendon Hooker and the way that he's going to have the ability to call plays at the line of scrimmage makes a big difference. We haven't really dove into this yet. How much more familiar, how much more comfortable, Ramon, is this offense? Not just knowing they have an elite quarterback in the huddle, but knowing that they have just a returning quarterback in the huddle.
It's so much better, man, because of those 2 points, elite and returning quarterback. Will, simply because like that position, especially for like offensive guys, like from the OL to the tight ends to the running backs to like the wide receivers, like they get everybody lined up. You feel an air of confidence when you're familiar with their guy. You have as an entire group, you have a feeling of like full understanding, Will. Like that's why the quarterback is so important to the offense. When you have one that's above average, when you have one that's like knocking on the doors like, hey, you guys pay attention to me. Watch what we do. Like it's been numerous times when you have young quarterbacks, inexperienced quarterbacks to where they can't get you out of bad looks. Like I see it. Do I have the confidence to actually change this play? Is coach going to be mad? Or, like we've watched Dobbs do those types of things where he can get you out of stuff, where you can't really surprise them. The poise that you walk in the stadiums with. Like, the game can be won, Will, before the first snap. And it's simply because of everybody being on the same page, everybody having the same amount of confidence. I know it was games in which we played with Eric Ainge that it was just like, probably shouldn't have won that one. Yeah. But because him and Cut were so intertwined together, because he had seen all things, because of the confidence of, look, if y'all got me, I got you.
Kentucky 07.
Oh, my God.
One of those games you probably should have won that you did.
I think most Vols fans or most fans in those situations, when you're not right-minded or you know that, look, we're supposed to win this, it's easy for you to be like, all right, man, we can tap out. Let's go home. Like, no. When you got that guy, when you have that type of confidence, Will, at that position for a quarterback that can not only spin it through the air, but direct everybody on the field, I think that's wise, that sense of confidence and little swagger that this team can have, man. So I'm looking forward to, not even just that, but the quarterback knowing where the OL is supposed to go. All right, guys, you get him, I got him. Like, those are the conversations that you have behind that. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like, man, with that freedom that he has at the line of scrimmage. And as quick as this offense goes, like, defenses will adjust, and maybe they trick themselves into doing something they're not supposed to because this offense moves so fast. I'm looking forward to his command, man, and seeing how this actually goes into play.
615-737-1045. Congratulations to Greg in Columbia, heading to see Tennessee play Ball State on Thursday. Enjoy the new Neyland Stadium.
No Neyland.
The new bells and whistles.
You going to the party deck?
So this is something I think is interesting. Danny White mentioned this and said they're kind of open to discussion on the way this is going to work. You have to have a separate ticket to get into that party deck in the north end zone.
I can believe.
So they said, Danny White said on Vol Calls last week that's something that we're going to let the market dictate what people really want or don't want, because they're probably going to just see, maybe we can open this up and let people kind of grab a drink and watch the game here, or maybe that's a standing room only ticket. I don't know. I want to go check it out though. So my seats since I was a kid have been on that north side in the corner.
Well, they come out of the T?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm excited to have a Jumbotron on that side.
Good, man.
Because you get
gotta flip
spoiled.
around.
You get spoiled going to Nissan Stadium, and wherever you're sitting, you've got a huge view of the replay and what just happened. Not the case as much at Neyland Stadium, and that's been a crusade that Danny White has been on ever since he got the job, was to kind of enhance the Neyland Stadium experience a little bit.
Yeah.
So excited to see what it looks like. I think that place is absolutely rocking on Thursday, even more so than it was against Bowling Green last year to start the season. And I think there's just a certain confidence. I mean, the line's 35 in this game.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee might be up 35-zip at halftime.
Sheesh.
Legitimately.
Yeah. Hey, I ain't going to say they better because you got to catch up to
Sure.
offense. But I expect it. Yeah,
Actually,
Wes.
real quick-
screw that.
No, actually, real quick to what you just said, in all seriousness, whether it comes to the NFL or college football, the expectation of routes and saying this team should have done this, it's just so much more competitive across the board now.
It is.
Yeah, you would want them to do that against Ball State.
Sure.
But if they don't, as long as it's not like a 3-point win or something like
Right.
that. You don't want it to be Appy State from back in the day.
The biggest surprise of it all to me this weekend so far, we just saw it on the TV.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Ohio State. Notre Dame.
17.5-point underdog at Ohio State.
God. Oh, we're not even talking to SEC school at this point, Will.
That is a game that SEC fans are going to hate.
Oh, all those Ohio State fans that just heard that, Ramon, hate your guts right now.
Because,
Man,
well,
they don't pay my bills.
everybody thinks that Notre Dame is always a fraud and overrated.
Yeah.
And then every SEC fan doesn't want to consider the fact that Ohio State is on an SEC level, even though this time,
I gotta give it
in this
some.
cycle, most years they are at an SEC level.
Yeah, they are.
Them, Clemson, and Oklahoma are the three.
Oklahoma still?
Oklahoma, not
I
really.
was going to say.
Them and Clemson. They have been at an SEC
Not
level.
Michigan, not Michigan State.
Michigan probably is this year. Again, I got a lot of dudes on that team. But we asked Josh Ward in the last hour, what makes Thursday a success for Tennessee? I want to dive into this a little bit more in hour 4. And Ramon, I want to give you one specific stat that Tennessee needs to change that was a little bit of a weird anomaly about their offense a season ago. And something that popped up against Bowling Green in game 1 that ended up being an issue the entire season.
Let me rephrase this too.
Uh-huh.
I started off hour 6 by saying, Ron Slay, you've been on the Vandy train. Know you coming in. Where's your ticket when you walk in the studio?
Ramon Foster challenges Ron Slay's VFL card live in studio. 4's up, ladies and gentlemen.
Fours.
Fourth quarter of the show. Coming up next, it's Ramona Will, powered by all 4 seasons, 104.5 The Zone.
9:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. Prior to today's 53-man roster deadline, the Titans have released punter Brett Kern. He spent 13 seasons with the team, its longest tenured player during the Titans era. Kern also earned 3 consecutive Pro Bowl selections from 2017 to 2019, was first-team AP All-Pro in 2019, second-team All-Pro in 2017. He lost the starting job during training camp to rookie Ryan Stonehouse. The roster deadline, 3 o'clock this afternoon, to get it down to 53 men for each NFL roster. The team acquired offensive lineman Dennis Daly and a 2024 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 5th-round selection. Daly has 34 games of NFL experience, made 21 starts for the Panthers. He's played at left tackle, left guard, and right guard in the league. Vanderbilt announced that its football stadium will be known as First Bank Stadium in a 10-year naming rights deal that begins this season. The field will still be known as Dudley Field. Rowing foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 4, the fourth quarter of Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Will Boulding and Ramon Foster with you. Jonathan Schaefer, the best producer in the world.
The best producer in the world.
And that voice you hear right there will be here in a matter of moments. One Ronald Sylvester Slay hanging out with us. A little bit of audio adrenaline for your Tuesday. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Appreciate Josh Ward, Rashad Weaver. If you missed those conversations, you can check them out on the podcast wherever you download audio on the 104.5 The Zone podcast network under Ramon and Will. The phone number is 615-737-1045. I opened up the show today saying it is Football Eve for the Tennessee Volunteers. And like a kid on Christmas, I'm looking for any possible reason to celebrate the return of football.
Yeah, always.
So, yes, I'm going to make a holiday called Football Eve.
I mean,
and I don't apologize. No, I'm not going to pipe down.
Red agreed
I'm going
with
to pipe
that.
up.
He shook his head.
I'm going to pipe up right now.
Down.
How deep I gotta dig for you to pipe down?
That's right. I humbly pass. Ramon Foster, are you performing surgery on headphones right now? Is that what's
Hey,
happening?
don't worry about what me and Rhett got going on, man. Nobody asks your opinion. Tell him, Rhett.
Stop with bragging camp.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Don't worry about what nobody.
Hey, Big Orange. Go Big Orange.
There you go.
Big
Come
Orange,
on.
see?
You're not going to tell him to pipe down, are you? No, you're not. No.
That was for you again.
No.
Ball State. Pow. They coming.
That's right.
Pow.
It's the energy we need today.
Are you saying pow? Pow.
That's a pretty good one.
In the face.
I love the energy of when Rhett Bryan comes in the studio. And also when Ron Slade comes to the studio.
Yeah.
He's coming up in a couple of minutes. Goodness sakes. 615-737-1045.
I just called him out too. I know he heard it because he better go drop our nephew off promptly, and he better have a lunch from home because he got the clearance from the principal. How about? Did he tell y'all this on there one day? His son backdoored him, man. Went to the principal.
Me, what now?
Went to the principal, man. I gotta ask him about it.
Pardon me?
He went to the principal directly and said he loved to bring his own food to school. And Ron been telling him no for the longest. He gets an email from the principal. Mr. Slay, it is all right for little Ron to bring his food. Pow! Yeah, that's it, Shay. Pow! Pow!
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, it was one thing about my nephew. He is going to absolutely get his way one way or another, man. How you let the principal tell you it's okay? I'll microwave it for you. Like, that's a flex right there. That is a flex. Ron say you might be an All-American, but you not baby ball. Okay,
that's right.
Everybody gets humbled, man.
So, goodness sakes, it's the thing I learned the most from you guys is that when you make additions to the family, when you got the dog. You're last.
Yeah, you are.
You're last on the list.
100%.
So even to the pup.
Even to the pup, the kids definitely are held up on a pedestal.
That's right. Old Zeus in the Foster household is calling the shots.
100%, man. I left him out last night. I usually don't leave him out to roam the house and stuff, man. He's been good.
He was like, hey, yeah, you did. I got him on that one.
Y'all petty as hell.
You did, man. Shout out to all the dog owners. Last week was National Dog Day, too.
It was.
Yeah, you don't have any pets, do you?
My parents have a little puppy whom I love very much.
You don't have any
Little
pets,
Jack
do
Russell.
you?
I don't.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I'll wait to get a puppy for a few more years yet. I got to worry about taking care of myself before I'm responsible for another being.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, I hate it.
Thanks,
I am though. Like if a dog dies in a movie, like I'm like a heartbroken.
What?
And then when like a person dies in a movie, it's like, oh, that's kind of sad.
Oh, yeah. Can we get real for a second?
That's kind of sad.
Go ahead.
I
Like
totally understand why John Wick did what he did. Because when they killed his puppy, I'd be going after everybody, too.
I know 1 million
would,
%.
Felt no remorse for
As
all
you
the
should.
people that he killed in
Yeah,
that
that's right.
movie because they killed his
Again,
dog.
haven't seen it, but I agree with the premise.
Yeah. What's wild is Shafe comes over to my house, okay, and tells me, hey, don't do Zeus like that. I'm like, wait a minute.
another person on the list in front of you there, bud.
He comes over and wrecks
bud.
shop about my dog.
I'm
man.
dropping
Here's the thing.
the.
I ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong, but I'm like, hey, Zeus, hey, homie.
Now, I'm not being a gracious guest by any stretch of the imagination. But his dog comes and runs over to me and sits on my foot and wants me to pet him, and he's like, Zeus. I'm like, Moan, what's the problem?
Because Zeus think he owns everybody.
And then Moan's like,
come on, man.
and I go, there's nothing going on. I'm just petting the dog.
Why is he talking
Schaefer's
to
having
me?
a whole conversation with you, but you're not saying a word. It's just recordings of both of us.
Really is my dream.
Schaefer really could do a show with like drops of all of us. Where he's like, Will, what do you think? And it's just me going, thanks, I hate it. And then it's Schaefer just being like, yeah, but this is why I and then just thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, it's
See, there
those
you go.
things.
It's just
See,
good.
Puka said John Wick would have taken out Thanos because he dusted his puppy.
It's Thanos. but
Thanos,
yes.
Thanos,
Yeah.
Thanos.
You
Yeah,
watched
that's
Avengers.
I did watch it
Thanos.
numerous times at that. My wife made sure I watched that too, by the way. She is a Marvel fanatic.
Oh, I am too.
You are too?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I
All the
feel-
TV shows, all the movies. So those started coming out when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so they like grew up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the first Iron Man was, I forget what year that was. I want to say like
Was it
2011 or
03?
2010.
Iron Man. Oh,
And I remember sitting in the parking lot at school and one of my buddies going, when we're graduating college, they're going to come out with like the last one. It's going to be like Endgame.
Yeah.
It wasn't called that, but it was like, that's like the end game of like what they're going to do. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I never knew I'd be such a diehard fan into it, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched She-Hulk yet.
I haven't. We planned
Haven't talked
on
myself into that one.
We
quite enough
actually watched Lightyear this past weekend. I saw a lot of people fussing about it and making a big hoopla and everything. It wasn't as egregious as people said it was. Of
Sure.
course, it was a bunch of pearl clutching and stuff like that. But I liked Lightyear. I thought it was pretty good, man. I thought it was pretty savvy.
Eli Drinkwitz today. With an interesting comment.
Again?
Or this was
Him?
last night.
Him?
Eli Drinkwitz
That's Babsy guy.
is Steve Spurrier without the success, which is kind of a tough, kind of a big part of being Steve Spurrier. Says, these students up front just asked me about class on Friday. I say skip it. It's early in the year. You can overcome an early deficit. You know who didn't overcome an early deficit last year against Tennessee? Missouri. So can you really overcome that early of a deficit? Who's to say, really? 615-737-1045. I just had a little drive-by for Eli Drinkwitz here at the beginning of hour number 4. So
You
I
call
teased
him
before the
Dorkwitz?
break.
You're not allowed to call anybody a dork.
You call
I'm
him
sorry.
Dork?
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
You kidding me?
Hey, you know what?
I'm not
Today
kidding
I'm
at all.
riding with you.
Absolutely, I can.
I'm riding
Have
with
you
him today,
seen that
just so
guy?
you know.
Yeah, and I've seen you too. You're about
Absolutely.
to say.
Yeah.
I'm riding with Will. Yeah, I had to clear.
Absolutely you
I'm riding with Will today, and you want to know why? Because I'm all about show beef.
A 5'9" dude with a receding hairline and glasses.
Yeah.
I'm none of those things.
Yeah, and this is
None
why.
of those things.
It's because Babs sells out for drinks with, oh, he's so cool, and oh my God, I love that guy. You never say that about Hyper Babs, okay? And guess what? It's 2 dudes on the list that she's just always a fan of, okay?
All right.
This ain't even Trash Talk Friday.
Right, but
What are we
Hypo
doing?
But Hypo looks like Bobby Hill from King of the
No,
Hill.
that's all right.
I mean, he does.
It's all right. Damn it, Bobby. Aside from that, it's 2 people on Babsy's list that can eat rocks, okay?
Wow. Not kick rocks.
Not bad rocks.
Wow.
Get new veneers.
You
It'll be
sound
all
like
right.
Nickelback after you eat rocks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Gravelly voice.
Gravel voice.
Respectfully, I love
I
it.
don't know what you're
Dude.
talking about, man.
It's Eli Drinkwitz.
Oh, hey, Joe.
I don't personally have problem with these people. Of course, I'm being over the top with it. Eli Drinkwitz, because I'm like,
give it to him.
You're right. It's football season,
Yeah.
Will. You damn right.
One thing we talked about after shows is that Ramon, quit qualifying stuff. Just go for it.
Just go for it.
I mean, respectfully. No.
Disrespectfully. Say what you speak
Eli
with your chest.
Drinkwitz,
Stand up
okay,
when you preach.
he can go down the street and kick a can. The other guy, of course, is always going to be Dave Clawson, okay? That week,
here we
I'm
go.
buying black and gold. Do you understand me? Babsy, I hope you have a one-on-one interview with him. You ask him, okay? Yes, and I said ask for the people that say, it's Ask Ramon. No, screw y'all. I said what I said, and I meant what I meant,
He's
okay?
on a heater.
Them two dudes, all right? I never even played against Missouri. I knew two dudes from there. One was cool, the other was I.
You could have run for a touchdown against Missouri's defense.
Could have, is what I'm telling you.
Too slow.
Them two dudes, same color schemes, chew on rocks, okay? Babsy, go interview that, and you take this clip with you, partner.
Hold
Football season, baby.
All right, well, that was great. So Ramon's going to step off of his soapbox again and take a seat.
No, because Savage coming in, okay?
That's true. The energy's all in.
You need this.
It's going to go to 11 here in a minute. The stat I was saying before the break, before we just stepped on our soapboxes. Tennessee last year.
Go ahead.
Tennessee last year was bad in one area on offense.
All right.
They were terrible in the second quarter. And that started against Bowling Green a season ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were bad in the second quarter against Bowling Green, against a walk-on first-year center on offense, and on defense against a bunch of guys who were not very good at American tackle football. Tennessee last year was number 1 in the country in first quarter points per game, and then was number 59 in second quarter points per game. The defense, Ramon, was top 30 in fewest first quarter points allowed, and then was number 119 in fewest second quarter points allowed. What makes a success for me Thursday for Tennessee? Keep the pressure on and put on more steam in the second quarter.
Oh,
that to me is a successful first game for Tennessee. Before we go to break, let's go to Phil in Portland, who's going to stand up for Ramon.
Hey, come on, Phil.
Here for it. What's going on, Phil?
Yes. Hey, thanks for taking my call this morning. Hey, I want to stand up for the Southern slang this morning. If he wants to speak at Bonix, let him speak at Bonix. We all understand what's going on.
Damn right.
Listen, I'll tell you words you can use. This one's for free. How about sensuous? That's words together. They were like, well, what is sensuous? Well, sensuous up. Won't you grab me a beer?
Sensuous.
Thank you for the call, Phil.
That's just
Appreciate
like
it.
finna. I'm finna. Where's finna at? You know what? We finna go to break.
The speed with which Jonathan Schaefer sprinted to the dump button as soon as Phil in Portland said, I got one word for you. We were both like,
Hey,
oh,
them
no.
my neighbors up there. Portland's up on the ridge from where I live in Gallatin.
Hey, shout out to Sumner County.
Shout out. Yeah. That's it.
Portland doesn't care. Portland's got all the time in the world.
Does not care.
Hey, Portland's growing too, by the way.
Speaking of black and gold,
Yeah.
Ron Slay's coming up next. First time that black and gold and Ron Slay have ever been mentioned in the same
That's
sentence.
not true because he would root for the Steelers. when
You would
Ramon
root for
played.
me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Black and yellow.
No.
Black and yellow.
No.
Is it not black and yellow?
It's black and gold.
I thought the song that
Well,
y'all
the
play was
song's
black,
black
and
and
yellow.
Well, Wiz made it more popular.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
What are we?
We don't talk about that on this show, though.
No,
man. Okay,
because we got
yeah.
in trouble last time.
No, I feel like
we ain't
I
gonna do that.
It's not black and gold. Whatever.
Hey,
We'll figure it out.
it's about to get real up in here now.
The hell it is.
Hey.
Ron Slay's going to come save me. Coming up
Yeah.
next on 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah, how about?
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
By God, that's Ron Slay's music. On a Moto Will, powered by all 4 seasons, 104.5 The Zone. Will Bowling and Bone Foster, Jonathan Schaefer with you. Ron Slay is going to bring a hurricane into the studio in a matter of moments.
It's supposed to rain today, too, huh?
It is.
Not on our show.
Hurricane Slay touches down in moments, though. I feel like it's going to be a Cat 5 Slay cane today.
Hey.
Because you're calling him out for leaning a little bit too much into the Vanderbilt thing.
He gotta go. That's all I'm saying.
This week, does it get dialed back at all? Because the Tennessee football Vols play collegiate American rules tackle football.
Yeah, no.
Is that Jonathan Schaefer trying to do the Ron Slay laugh? Is that
No,
what
I'm just
hearing?
laughing at you.
Okay, well, perfect.
Well, I actually liked what you said. It was funny.
So the day ends in Y. You're laughing with me this time. Oh, cool.
Don't read too much into it.
One thing I wanted to ask Slay, and I'll ask you, Ramon Foster, first.
I'm listening.
Alex Golish noted this in his press conference last week, talking about catching defenses off guard last season early on in the year. And catching defenses off guard for what Tennessee does. A lot of teams got their first look at Tennessee and had no idea how to cope with the tempo and the scheme and what the Vols were doing on offense.
Right.
How different do you think this offense looks schematically this season based on the fact that you're not catching anybody off guard for what you did last year because they know what the tempo feels like in the moment of the game, and B, they've had more preparation to prepare for that tempo, but also for what you're doing as you get up to the line of scrimmage so quickly.
That's always going to be the case, though. And this is the bad part about playing defense and not having a whole lot of depth is guys can only go about 3-4 plays at a time, specifically defensive linemen and sometimes linebackers too. But the tempo of getting set for a defense as opposed to the offense staying on one side, staying wide. Defenders, they have to run after the ball, Will. Like, that's what this offense is doing. It's not necessarily catching you off guard. It's actually just keeping you off balance.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's about to happen. You can't really, just duplicate it in practice. That's always going to be an issue. You leave out of there like, yeah, we'll be all right on Saturday.
Right.
Not realizing 5 plays in a row, you're back to back to back to back to back, and you start getting those situations where if the offense doesn't change personnel, meaning they stay on the field and you catch those D linemen going on and off the field, Will, those are penalties right there. You either better say, look, our first line, you better be ready to go 12 plays if you have to. Our second line, get in, get off, call timeout again, something we're going to forever deal with until the coaches find a way to deal with this is what? The injuries. The air quotation marks injuries, man. Catching teams off guard, though. Like, again, defenses have to get set. With the way they're moving and as much discipline as Hypo's kind of had with them as far as not having an illegal formation, if you don't know where you are, and the other part too, I always kind of say this when it comes down to college players, a lot of these teams will be having freshmen, sophomores, inexperienced guys on the field too, and that's always going to be the issue.
Oh,
yeah, I was talking.
We got a full room in here.
I got somebody with me.
Catch me.
So Ron Slay has walked in with Coach Dave McGinnis hanging out too. They're going to do their handshake and say hello. Ron Slay heard that Ramon Foster was talking crap. And so then he brought in Coach Mack. Coach Mack, can you hop on this microphone too?
Man.
What's happening? What's happening?
He brought a friend.
Coach Mack, what's up?
Football season, baby. He called you for backup, Coach Mack?
So I got out of my house.
You live now?
No, I got. Is this radio?
Yeah.
This is an audio
We gotta
medium.
save that, Shay. Is this radio?
Is this radio?
Yeah, we're radio now.
I got out of my house as soon as he called. I said, "I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there."
What?
I got a rider with me.
You
As soon as he said, "Mac, look, they've been talking some stuff about me, and that's all I need to hear. I didn't care who it was.
Hey,
I'm here.
So I want to be on the right side of history. This is Ramon Foster
If y'all
starting this.
No, well, you're in it too.
That's right, man.
Don't you dare
That's
jump
right,
shit.
man. Jump off a lead.
Be on the right side of history.
Where's your loyalty?
Okay, look, I'm gonna be right across here in the hall with
Okay.
Brett. So if you need me, just do this.
Thank you, Coach Mac.
I see you.
Thank you, Coach Mac. That's my guy, man.
I never want to be on the on the wrong side of anything that Coach Mac is on the other side of.
You can't run from this thing no way,
man.
Listen,
Smelling
man.
What's going on,
You
son?
know what I'm saying? Mac know what to do.
Mac like Pimp C out here. And you gonna smell my
cologne.
cologne. Yeah, you
Bar
are.
number 9.
Oh, that Issey Miyake.
It's in Miyake.
Hey, so we've got brothers in the studio with Ramon and Slay.
Double entendre right there.
At a guy named West Bowling TN on Twitter tweeting at us this morning, another
What
brother of
West
mine, saying, I'm a podcast guy. I host a couple of them, but at Ramon and Will is turning me into a morning show listener.
Hey, now. We're +1.
That's right.
You transform. We
Thank you,
transform
Wes.
people.
We +1. He said, What's like?
What's going on, Slay?
Yeah, what's happening, Will?
How are you?
What's going on, man? I'm out here, man. I heard I've been summoned, man. So
Yeah.
here I am.
Your
You know what I'm saying?
VFL card has been asked for by one Ramon.
Guess
Foster.
what, man? See, when I walked in, he was playing Young Savage, but I'm gonna give him a little booster, man. This what Lil Booster
What'd he
said for
say?
all my listeners, man,
What'd
out
he
there.
say?
If you don't want to be about that life, then you don't need to tat that on you.
Yeah.
I got it tatted on me,
Yeah,
man. So
you
it ain't never in question. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
If you ain't got a tat on you, with it, see, Savage know what it is. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you bout that down, you ain't gotta get. You know what I mean? Get a tatted on you, Will. You got a tat on you, Will?
I don't.
I don't really know if you about that. I mean, you got to get out in the
Swain
field.
have it on him.
That's what it's about,
Hey,
man.
hey, this 2 days in a row today,
Come
too.
on, I see my boy.
And I see you with the Oak Hill on.
I mean, you got to
And
rep
the Raptors.
South Coast Smith this weekend, man. Shout out to
Did you?
him and Mama Smith came down. You know what I mean? So shout out to them, man. They look. Hey, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Go ahead.
What?
No, wait,
Why?
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't you dare come out here and
Yeah,
tease us like that. All right, never mind.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll tell you where we at, just so you know, Savage. You brought your ticket. So I saw where you were, okay? Coach Mac was the ticket.
Yeah.
He cleared all debts on the books, okay? He really did, okay? But what I was saying is you've been leading this Vandy train.
Yeah, without question.
And they delivered.
Mike
Yes,
Wright
they
trained
did.
too.
Mike Wright,
Ever
Mike
since
Wright
we met
train.
Mike Wright in Atlanta.
100%.
And he backed up everything he said about
and
coming into the season.
He
I'll
did.
give him credit.
He did. Shout out to Mike Wright, man.
Yep.
Muro, his dad. Shout out to
Yeah,
the Noops.
the
Okay.
Noops.
There we go.
Yo!
Hey, you was honorary for
I got to
it.
see that.
You got my
I know I
boy
get my
right
boy
there.
going.
You got me going right there. With that being said,
Yeah.
we 2 days away.
Yeah. I know it's time.
Okay.
I know it's time.
The energy level is
Oh no!
higher
It's time.
every day.
No, it's time.
We're
See,
there.
sometimes you got to work your way into it. You know what I mean?
Schaefer was laughing at me this morning because I opened up the show of it's game day eve. Like I'm at that point where it feels like a holiday of Tennessee football.
He shut him off.
Did he?
Turn my mic off.
He got his mic.
I was over Zoom and I disconnected.
Holy shit.
Sorry, I just disconnected. That's my bad.
Hey man, shut that man mic off.
I was buffering.
Shut him off, man.
Buffering.
Way to go.
It's Ramon and Schaefer.
Don't get on his bad side.
Ramon and Schaefer, weekdays 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone.
Can't keep calling them out, Will. He'll shut you down.
Ramon and Schaefer. It's not Ramon and Will.
Hey, this is what it is, though, Savage, man. You know, walking into it, man, you know how I feel about this week,
Yeah.
man. You know, I ended the call yesterday on our show on 3HL with Mike Keefe and was like, man, there's got to be something about this.
Yeah.
You know, I know you covering the Titans and everything, but your blood started to boil a little differently.
Yeah.
You know, when you got that orange in your veins, man, and you in the state of Tennessee, and you know it's game week, man, especially with all the hype that's going around it, pun intended. Come on, man. I mean, it is what it is, Savage, and then they let Brew McCoy out, man.
Yeah, they did.
They laid the man eligible, man. They free Brew McCoy, man. And like I was saying yesterday, dog, regardless of what he does when he's out there on the field, it's the attention that he draws when he's out there on the field. Like, I dare you
Yeah.
to go out there and put that 5-7 corner on him.
Yeah.
That or the backup corner, or the backups corner. Like, man, we ain't even gonna. We're gonna watch Tillman. We're gonna watch Hyde. We're gonna watch Walker Merrill.
Squirrel.
We're gonna watch all these. And you gonna leave this fool out there at 6'3", 6'4", 2+?
The dog from Up. Talking
Man,
about
all right, play that game you want to.
Yeah.
Play that game you want to. You don't have these people talking about this man hype the way they are.
Yeah.
If he ain't nothing.
And this is the thing, too, we know about sports, too. Will, you've followed recruiting for a while. Savage, you was in that world, deep into that world. That's why you got on that Oak Hill jersey.
Say that then.
If you're a 5-star, you're not that for a reason. I mean, for no reason is what I'm saying. Like, I know for a fact, even in basketball, you told me about them. The top, what was it, 100?
Yeah.
Or the top 100 every year they follow.
Yep.
That's to see where they're going to line up at.
Yep.
And football is the top 300.
Gotcha.
You got a guy who's a 5-star, probably top 100 in this class, man. They mark these guys. Brew McCoy is one of those type of guys, man, and we hadn't seen him play. Heck, he didn't know a whole lot of SC.
Right.
Now in this offense, you got to say there's a lot of hay to be made on this.
It is, man. You look at it, Savage, and it's coming in, and you talking about a high-octane offense that how do you take a step back when you add weapons?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And in this situation, you adding weapons. Yes, you lose a Valus. Yes, you lose a Javante Payton. But look what you add. Hopefully, Hyde gets back to where he's supposed to be because you don't even really get to put him in the mix of what was happening last year. And when you talking about speed and length, man, this dude here was different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before he caught that touchdown pass, well, Joe Milton put that hole in his chest.
Yeah.
But he was on his way. You know what I'm saying? But then you add Brew McCoy. Walker with another year of experience, man. And then Tillman with another year. Plus Hooker with more command of an offense that's more than likely should be opened up even more.
Even more.
Because a lot of that last year, man, you got to think. Hypo probably had to scheme a lot of it because he was coming into a situation, you know what I'm saying? Where
instincts versus knowledge of what the offense actually is.
Okay, now I can see 2 or 3 receivers doing the play instead of I'm looking right, but I'm really coming back left, and it's going to be wide. Man, that's dangerous.
It is.
That's dangerous.
The part that I didn't even realize as a player, and I got to the league, I was like, I see what y'all mean.
Yeah.
The hashes.
Yeah.
They mean a lot.
There you go.
And this type of offense, if run properly, can be dangerous. And you say you was worried about the secondary guys, as far as our defense go.
Yeah.
The Vols defense go, man. It's this. That strain you putting on the other side of the ball.
There you go.
Is rough.
Yep.
It really is, especially, and this is the thing about hyper offense. If you stay on schedule, that's almost all offense, but specifically this one, how quick they go. I mean, you're 25 seconds and the defense could be back on the field if you're not efficient in the head or being on the curve. But those young guys that might be freshmen, might be sophomores, might be a first-year starter at junior, having to deal with that spread like that can get iffy, Will.
It's different, man.
It can. And Alex Golesh said last week what we were talking about before you came in was that Tennessee faces 7 of the same head coaches they saw last year. 5 of them were former defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Alex Golesh said last week, play callers on the other side of the ball figure out what they can and can't get at this tempo. So you have to have answers. I wonder what those answers are. How different does this offense look? And I think what we've talked about earlier that I think, you're on the same page with us on this is that I think Tennessee is going to be more effective running the football in short yardage this year. You talk about Jabari Small at tailback being 20 pounds bigger. I think Hendon Hooker, though, taking that step of having command of the offense and being an offensive coordinator on the field most affects the running game and getting Tennessee in good run looks. That's the thing I'm most interested to see on Thursday.
I think so, too. And I think when you add the element of a guy like Squirrel in there where you like Ramon said, you playing sideline to sideline. Like these receivers really line up on the sideline to run plays. Like not inside the numbers, not right outside the numbers. They on the sideline.
You're taking run defenders out of the game.
Yeah. So you got that space right there. Now imagine putting a guy like Squirrel, if he's the threat that we think he is, in motion.
Right.
Even if you don't pay attention to him, he better be accounted for.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now you're taking a whole nother guy out of the box. Now you're really putting hat on hat. Now it makes it a better situation. Now you can have the running back and the quarterback make a decision on a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2, and you just got to make one guy miss.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So when you space it out like that, of course the running game, that's why you want to lean on it because you got hat on hat.
Yeah, you do.
You got one-on-one matchups, and I'm depending on my O-line, trench levels. Listen, and in just a second, we're going to have a train going for the trench lovers, and everybody can get on. But we're going to see what happens Thursday. Trench lovers, you know what I mean? So if you're a trench lover, you got to love to be able to go one-on-one.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I'm saying? You smack the man in the face, man, and what's up? What you going to do? Ain't nobody coming 100%. To help. It's me and you.
It's me and you.
What you want to do? You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's what you got, man.
100%.
And that's what he provides when you get to spread this field like that. That's why the running game, I think, is something you can lean on, man.
And he made it a point, too, to say that in his first presser.
Yeah.
We have to run the ball.
Right.
And this is the other side, too. I do side left tackle just a little bit, man. And simply because the guys hadn't really played a whole lot.
Right.
You got some guys that have some pedigree, but they're on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if it goes down to having to help out Gerald Mincey or Jeremiah Crawford, whoever gets that job, like you can do that. You're afforded that because the offense is so fast.
Yep.
Run game though, like you said, Will, earlier, like getting that second quarter lull out of the way, punching the ball in is something we must see against Ball State.
Tennessee was the best the best first quarter team in college football last year. They were 59th in the second quarter.
Yeah.
That's the one thing for me that I need to see against Ball State. What is the biggest thing for you, Slay, that makes the Ball State game a success? Is it covering? Is it first half? Is it defense? Like, what's the one thing that you want to see in order to feel good about Pitt in week 2?
To be able to keep your foot on the throttle the entire game.
100%.
I think that's the biggest thing for me, like not letting up. And regardless, I'm saying when you're going against them and you got to put the two guy, the second guys in. Yeah, you put them in.
100%.
Let's not have a drop off. Let's not have any stagnant play. Yeah, okay, of course, it's gonna be some times you're gonna go 3 and out, but let's not make that consistent. Like 3 and outs. Like, come on, man. Like that's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? So be able to move the ball, be able to make decisions, be able to keep pushing. That's the next step in it, and not being able to have after the first 10 scheduled plays, scripted plays, what happens then? Because 2 of them going to be scores.
Yeah.
You're going to come back, probably 3 of them going to be scores, so you got 5 plays left. What happens after them 10 plays?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing for me.
I'm really interested to watch these freshmen do work, too, with outside edge. James Pierce. Okay, looking to see what he's going to do, and Joshua Joseph, too. Like, that rotation's got to get real, because that's one thing I'm not looking forward to the Pitt week. A little bit I am. But
I am.
Is that rush of getting after their quarterback.
Right.
That's where I'm at, and I'll be real. Your Firebird, too, Elijah Simmons.
Yeah.
Where he going to be at. I know Amari Thomas is ahead of him now, but you need those bodies in the middle, too, because that's one thing that Pitt will do is they're going to try to run it.
Yeah.
And any team that they play this year – what's the best defense against this offense?
Keep the offense off the field.
There we go.
And listen,
get after the quarterback.
That's trench level talk. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be honest, man. That done spread down to me. You know what I mean? So I watched the game from a different view. But that's it, man. You got guys like Big O, Elijah, who's a freak athlete. You know what I'm saying?
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy, man. And then I want to see what Byron Young and Tyler Barron do on them bookends. Like, if y'all can bring a different dynamic to the game and make them quarterback. Because, honestly, last year, when you look at the Pittsburgh game, it was different quarterbacks in at the time. But when Kenny Pickett started going, hurry up, like, it was a different ball game.
It was.
He controlled the game. They controlled their pass rush, and he was able to pick UT apart.
Yes, he was.
So if you can do that, man, and if you can get pressure on them, it's a totally different ball game. You know what I'm saying? So, and I also want to see guys like Andre Tarrantine, Wesley Walker, man. These are guys that were that Ensworth while I was coaching. So I got a relationship with these kids. And my thing is, it's not talking about Wesley, but Andre Tarrantine, who was highly rated coming out of school, went to Ohio State.
Sure did.
Like, when you leave, is just because they got a shiny home don't mean that home is for you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at, and this was all kids that's going to schools, man, especially in-state schools, in-state kids that have the opportunity. I'm not just talking about Tennessee, but go to Tennessee, Memphis, University of Memphis, Vanderbilt, wherever it may be, ETSU. Dude, take a look at it and don't just look at the shiny outside. Why would you go into a 10-bedroom home and you only got 2 kids? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude.
Live questions with Ron Slay.
I mean, like, man,
I
dude,
know where you coming from.
You talking to 2 in-state guys right here. You're an in-state guy, Will. Like, dude, it means something different, man.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like, look, we sitting up and talking about, I'm on the Vandy train, but I got it tatted on. Like, it's never no question for real. You know what I'm saying?
No, for real.
And I'm going to rep it differently.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When I smack I'm going to give my all for Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean something different when I smack it.
And you saying
You know what I'm
these
saying?
in-state kids
Dude.
We do, in
like
all
your guy,
seriousness.
Andre Turrentine.
That's it.
We, in all seriousness, joke around about Slay and being on the Vanity train, but like Slay is probably a top one most loyal person I've ever
Ain't no
been around.
question. Ain't no question.
Top five
Ain't no
in the
question.
game,
Tier
5, 4,
one.
3, or 2.
He's tier 1.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, but you gotta do that though, man. And you, in order to keep it afloat, man, because when you go, what you better realize is when you go to these different schools, and after you get out that school, the conversation when you back at home
here, it's a little bit different.
You can't hold the same conversation, man. Why you didn't go put some on? Ain't no alley oop. Ain't no alley oop. I'm throwing the alley oop safe. You talking about the alley oop? I'm throwing the alley oop right now.
Got this last segment. I'm gonna let you get this on this.
Settle down. Settle down, man.
Schaefer responds much differently to Slay taking control.
My
what
boy
man.
got me going. I know where you headed.
You know where I'm going with that, Savage.
100%.
Coming up next, some cuts beginning around the NFL. Plus, we will give Ron Slay the details of our show bet with Rashad Weaver that we made yesterday.
All right.
Over Tennessee and Pitt.
You was on a plane at that time.
We'll let you know.
I need him.
Keep you updated. One final segment of the show. Ramona Will, powered by all 4 seasons of 104.5 The Zone. It's a family affair. Final segment. Ramona Will, powered by all 4 seasons. I've learned to talk over this song as little as possible.
Yeah. You just let it go.
Let the vibes happen.
Look at my boy. Yeah.
The drop. Here it comes.
Hey. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
One last cup of coffee.
That's all you need.
The exchange
All you
rate
need.
of that drop to caffeine is like, that's 2.5 shots of espresso you just took. Ramon Foster with you. Family affair in here. I mentioned my brother listening. Got to mention my sister Claire, my nephew Jonathan listen
What up,
every day.
Claire? Young Jay? All right.
Baby J.
Baby J.
Always checking in.
Wait, met Claire? I think I met Wes. Did I meet Wes? Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
I ain't met Claire.
I ain't met Claire either.
Not yet.
You said she
She'll be
was an
around.
opera singer, too.
Oh, yeah.
West, the mortality book.
Claire
went to
is
school for it.
Claire is known as the fun bowling
Is she
in
the
our
fun
family.
She the middle one or oldest?
Middle.
Yeah, shout out to the middle
She
kid.
was
It's
known
always
as
the middle kid. Middle kid's lawless.
She was known
We
like,
lawless.
of all of their college
Definitely
friends
rebels.
as the fun bowling. Yeah.
Okay.
It's true too. It's 100% accurate.
Absolutely. Can I open up something real
Yes,
quick
can.
with Nardo?
Yes, can.
Okay, Nardo was in Atlanta, right? You was overseas at the time. And we went down and kicked it with him one time, and I was wondering. By the way, you introduced me to stuff. I introduced Nardo to vodka cranberry because I was already just out here. This fool,
already out here.
okay, I was already out here. Okay, MD 2020 first night.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Okay, this fool right here, man, introduced me. I remember the night. I'm talking about specifically vodka Red Bulls.
Oh, yeah, we went up.
Yep. I had my first vodka Red Bull actually a couple weeks ago.
Did you?
I loved it.
I told
really
him.
good.
You remember that night? I was like, dog, my face is numb.
Yeah, we was going up.
We had a ball.
Yes, we did. Yeah, buddy.
Hey, a
Take us back.
Please.
A surprising cut 8 minutes ago in the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are waiving receiver Tyler Johnson
Wow.
today.
Wow.
Former Minnesota standout.
Yep.
Interesting.
Interesting.
The Atlanta Titans have waived Cam Batson.
Cam Basson too?
Cam Batson and former Vol Preston Williams has been cut by the Miami Dolphins after trade discussions did not culminate in a deal. That
Preston
according
was
to
already
Aaron Wilson.
Trade value? Wow. Preston played for him, didn't he?
If I'm the Titans, I'm calling Tyler Johnson and I'm calling Preston Williams.
All right, then.
Absolutely am.
Oh,
I think the Titans end up keeping 5 wide receivers today, and I think those guys are upgrades over your 6th guy that you might keep.
Yeah.
Who's the 6th guy you think?
Des Fitzpatrick.
Desi.
Yeah. He didn't help himself.
Didn't close camp well enough. We did our 53-man roster at 720.
Oh, okay.
Had him right on the outside looking in.
Yep. I was
But
listening.
wouldn't surprise me if he ends up getting the call. We'll see.
I'm always listening to the show now. Will. That's one thing.
That's right.
You ain't got to inform me.
I know you're
but I did miss the show
always lurking.
yesterday.
Oh,
Missed the
okay,
show.
so
we got to tell him.
Yeah,
our,
so
bet,
let me know.
our bet with Rashad Weaver is if Pittsburgh wins, Ramon Foster has to pin Hail to Pitt at the top of his Twitter account for a week.
And tag Weaver in
And
it,
tag
too.
Weaver. But if Tennessee wins, Rashad Weaver has to pin Go Vols and tag at Ramon and Will.
Yes,
I
indeed.
like it.
And I
On
might
Twitter.
send a couple more words with him. It's the greatest ever, and you suck as a
Yeah.
university.
Ain't
Like,
nothing wrong with it.
he talked about like going a little further, so I was like, "Oh, you met the right city."
Oh, you sure did. You sure did. Oh, yeah. That's going to be a good one.
What you think about it? Like no money,
like that.
no money
No,
involved.
But I know that dinner involved, though.
But still, oatmeal dinner.
Yeah, so they can lean in with each other on that. We can go to eat 3 and have a great time. Don't even trip. You know what I
Feasting.
mean? Yeah, without
Well,
question.
they're gonna have a weekend this weekend. Oh no, I can't do that because RJ's birthday this weekend.
Mhm.
Young boy turning 14.
June. For hey man, this what man. Fathers out there.
Oh, here we go. Father's Day is not for another.
Now, yeah,
little
this
while. You got time.
just for a little update. This for you too, Will. Once you go down that path, it's gonna be a time in your life, man. If you have a young man, a boy, that he's gonna get ready to go into puberty, and you're gonna see the change taking place.
Yeah.
And you gonna have to check him. You know what I mean? So, Baby Ball, I heard you giving props to Baby Ball about the principal. Like he know what he doing. So, I told him this morning, and this man got like I'm a guy with facial expressions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? When
true.
things not going my way. You know what I
TV
mean?
cameras usually catch you on those facial
they do.
expressions.
So
Tennessee basketball.
he was
game.
giving one this morning, and it was a smart aleck like.
Oh.
Yeah, and I had to tell him, hey man, listen. Yeah, you so damn so ain't cute. Yeah. Yeah. So
you had to lean in?
Yeah, I had to lean in on them. You know what I mean? Tell them, all the games and everything that's off the board right now. You know what I mean?
Keisha gonna text me and be like, "You better leave LeBron alone."
Hey man,
this ain't that though.
I told him if I catch him again, getting smart
with the face.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you in your chest and knock you down.
See.
Because you done got to that point. You know what I mean?
Is.
Yeah, so it's got to be done between probably a couple times between 11 and 15.
It
you
does.
know what I mean? He might catch on earlier.
There's a couple things for sure. He don't pay no bills
at all.
He only get the Wi-Fi password because you allow it.
Come on now.
And his ass in school.
Come on, talk it.
Okay.
Talk it, Savage. I'm just saying.
That's the show. Energy, some audio adrenaline for you on your Tuesday. Ron Slay, thank you.
Yeah, man. Hey, anytime, man. I'll see y'all next week after this Ball State win.
Tomorrow, it would be Tennessee Football Eve. Special thanks to Josh Ward joining us today. 4 more hours of eye rolls from Jonathan Schaefer coming up tomorrow on the Wednesday edition.
And please remember your Twitter fingers and your mic always hot.
We'll see ya.